the boys from Wrestling to the Max sent me a Christmas wish list. Let's look and see what they have here. Little Mr. Sean sent me a wish for a New Day unicorn hat. Ooh, that looks a little too phallic shaped if you ask me. Elf number 3, send him a unicorn of, let's choose a unicorn from the My Little Pony series. I think that would work for Mr. Sean. That's close enough, I hope. Next on the list is Mr. Paul Lisa. Let's see here. Well, he wants a... What is this? He says here, whoa, 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 I want some Bailey. Oh, well, I don't know what that means, but I think Santa can accommodate him. Elf number 2, can you please send him some Baileys? Alcohol may not be his favorite, but that's what he wants. I don't know. And one last one. Let's see here. Mr. Gary Watts to be one of Dalton Castle's boys. Ooh, I'm not sure. I have it. All right, elf number 1. Frame Gary for murder. That way he can spend a couple years in prison, and he'll enjoy learning what it is to be one of Dalton Castle's boys. Ho, ho, ho! That'll be a Merry Christmas.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Deezer.
Hello and welcome and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. This is W2M episode number 175. Certainly someone around here is in the Christmas spirit.
Oh, you know it. That's right. I'm not the snow miser. I am the guy that loves the big guy that comes and gives you gifts. That's right. I'm your host, Gary Vaughn.
The hookup to the...
Yeah, sometimes you just got to get, good friends with those people up in the north. We love the Canadians, and we love people even further, which is the North Pole. So, yeah, to all the elves out there, shout out to you guys for all the hard work. We're actually doing this show on Christmas Eve, so they are listening to us in the workshop, I hope. And hopefully everybody else is getting a chance to listen to us tonight. I hope you all are having a great holiday. We are excited about today's podcast because we got a lot of great stuff in store for you. So if you're on a holiday trip, you're about to go and visit some family, or maybe you're having to work late, that way you can have Christmas Day off. Whatever you're doing right now, we're hoping we can entertain you and give you all the info that you want to hear wrestling-wise, and of course a few funny things here and there that we, may say. We at least give you guys some entertainment tonight. So let's go ahead and talk about a few things we're going to be doing today.
Now they're going to be expecting that every intro.
I was about to say, dude, you just crushed it. Like, that whole intro.
We might have to come up with skits for every intro now.
Dude, I've been so sick, guys, and you can hear it probably still. But I missed a couple podcasts with our Football to Football podcast because of it, and I've been trying to get better. I was doing a lot better. My wife medicated me up. I mean, I was super awesome that next day. I felt not 100%, about 80%. I did that intro, and then I stepped back to about 50 to 40%. So there you go. I'm trying to get better now, but I will try to do
Gary
intros.
has the percentages down better than the coaches do.
There you go. So anyway, I'll promise we're going to work on these intros, have a lot more fun at times, but I appreciate it, guys. It was just too much fun. I had to do it. But, let's let everybody know what's going on in the show. Today, we are going to have a lot of fun because we are just going to cover some big, quick hits. It is the holiday season, so wrestling news is kind of light, but we still have some golden nuggets for you guys, some interesting things going on in the world of wrestling that we're going to talk about. Plus, we're going to cover that all-important Monday Night Raw, the Slammy's version. That's going to be a little light too. Let's be honest, it's the Slammies, but we still got some things that we really want to get into because there's some choices that they made. Maybe we agree with, maybe we don't agree with. And we're going to talk some Ring of Honor, and we have a special pay-per-view to talk about. That's right, Final Battle was this past weekend, so we are going to cover that head to toes, and we're also going to cover ROH TV, which was actually this past week as well. So you're going to get a double dose of ROH. That's pretty awesome. And we've got a special thing that we want to do, and we do this every year. If you've listened to our podcast for over a year now, of course, and if longer, you have experienced our Wrestling Christmas wish list. We're going to do it again this year, and we're going to cover all the promotions that we do on the show. We usually do Lucha Underground, but since they're not in play right now, and we got to wait for them, we're just going to cover the big five. So if you want to hear the Christmas wish list, you've got to get into it. You've got to check it out. We're not going to tell you where it's at in the show. You're just going to have to wait for it. So, and we're, of course, can't forget, guys, we're crowning a Superstar of the Week. It is going to be a really interesting pick. I can't wait to talk about that, too, because we've got some really great highlights for that when we get to it. So, man, I'm telling you guys, we're having a lot of fun. It's the Christmas season. I'm only going to ask one quick question because we want to jump into the show. But, you know, this is something that interests me most about the Christmas season, and that is what each family does. And I'm stealing this from Mr. Randy Isbell because he asked Sean this question on the Football to Football podcast, but I think it's just relevant. I think it's very interesting because every family does something different. My family, for the most part, has always done Christmas Day opening presents and doing, you know, pretty much the celebrating that day. Maybe you get one gift on Christmas Eve, but that's pretty much it because we traveled here and there. So, you know, we kind of stuck to Christmas Day. Paul, what does your family do? Do they do anything different?
We do Christmas on Christmas Eve because my birthday is Christmas Day. So we separate it out so that way I get to have a day still, essentially. So I get to turn 28 in a day and a half. So
yeah.
That'll be fun.
Happy birthday. We didn't get a chance
Thanks,
to mention that earlier, but that's awesome. And, you know, it's funny. You and Sean both have to deal with the holiday birthdays. And thank God mine's like 3 days after July 4th. But no one gets presents on that day or anything. So
I like how Gary snuck that in there so that everybody knows when his birthday is. So that
I want those Andes mints, for God's sake. No one sent me.
Man, you watch this. Somebody's gonna show up with a box of like Annie's mints at Gary's door now because he keeps mentioning them. Hey, you know, we're always looking for sponsors, Annie's mints. So.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to sponsor us because Gary's such a fan, that's always a great thing there.
Definitely. I'm with it, man. Sean, I mean, I got a chance, me personally, got a chance to hear some of your talk about your family stuff, but I just want you to share with the wrestling fans kind of what, you know, you do, because I know you have two different cultures to kind of deal with.
Yeah, I do, and, you know, one of them, you know, it's... I hate saying this, but I don't really, you know, get along with them that well. So, you know, my mom's side of the family, I kind of tend to do other things. Like I'm going to go after work, which I have to work an 8-hour shift on Christmas Eve. They'd celebrate Christmas Eve because most Latin families historically, they do it Christmas Eve. I don't know why. That's never really been explained to me. But it's usually, and this is how we did it with my stepmom and her Mexican family, we'd have to do the whole, you do everything on Christmas Eve. You eat dinner, everybody comes over, then you just basically sit around till midnight, and then you open the gifts. Because it's technically Christmas Eve, but you wait till it's Christmas morning, the second of it, and then you do it. And then everybody basically opens their gifts and goes home at like 2 in the morning. We've always been Christmas Day with my dad. That's what I'm used to celebrating. That's what I'm going to celebrate with my daughter. You know, so that's what I'm doing. That's the day that I'm taking to do. On Christmas Eve, I'm working and then watching Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So that's basically, I guess that's my Christmas present to myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's pretty awesome. That's good. I mean, you know, it's just like I said, it's very interesting to how everybody has their own thing, and there's reasons why they do it that way. You know, Randy.
You guys get the whole, like my dad always did the whole giving me one present before Christmas. Did any of you guys get that, or?
Paul gets them all.
Yeah, we get the 24th is also a celebrating Christmas on the 24th is also an old German tradition as well. And my dad's side of the family is German, which is where that came from. So it just sort of happened to fit in whenever I came along, with what my folks were already doing, or what my dad's side of the family at least was already doing.
See, I have no idea what the Welsh do, so I'm kind of left out. But it is what it is. So, hey, me.
They made the Euros, so I guess they matter again. I don't know.
They also made Mason Ryan, but we know how that turned out.
Oh well,
yeah. So
God bless Manny Batista.
yeah, poor guy. We love him.
Any chance we get to take a shot at Mason Ryan?
Yeah. Hey, I like him. He's a great guy. I like him. So. All right, guys. Well, it's interesting. We all have different traditions, and I hope everybody out there listening has, their own traditions that they love to follow, and we celebrate with you, and we hope that you all have a happy holiday. But now it is time for us to have our Christmas with wrestling, and that is going to be doing some quick hits now. So let's go ahead and open up these gifts and kind of find out what's open and fresh in the world of wrestling news. We'll be right back.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
All right. Well, guys, there's some big things that are happening right now, and something that is kind of interesting that I like is the fact that High Spots, have you heard of High Spots? They're a special website. You can buy a wrestling ring from them. You can do all sorts of stuff. They have all these promotions, but HighSpots.com has opened up their own network. Yeah, that is interesting to me because they've got groups like PWG. They actually have a women's wrestling organization, which is tied to CZW. They are actually going to have their own show. We're also going to see some WrestleCon stuff. That is going to be some content in ring. There's a lot more to it too, and some of these guys actually, Paul or Sean may explain more about it. But I just want to give you a quick highlight. They also are going to be doing some original shows content. They'll be having some other things for you really to just be able to sit back and enjoy. And it's $9.99 like the WWE.com. The network has for WB, of course, and they just it's a kind of an alternate, if you will say that, to the network the WB has. So I'm just gonna throw it to you guys because you guys may have read up on this. I'm kind of curious what you guys think about this network.
I became familiar with High Spots originally through Chikara, who they had their not Chikara, sorry, that's Smart Mark Video. I became familiar with High Spots through Backyard Wrestling because we were looking for a ring and we were trying to buy one. And then when we saw they were $2,000, we decided to make our own. It's really, really cool that this is out there. PWG and CZW and the women's promotion Gary was talking about was Women's Superstars Uncensored. Three, I would say, larger indies. They have some. They also have some smaller ones listed on there. PWG, of course, enough said there. If you're an indie wrestling fan, they're one of the best ones out there. CZW has come roaring back into the picture recently. And Women's Superstars Uncensored is actually pretty good. It's a nice alternative, I think, to Shimmer because they do things a little differently. So I'm really excited for this. If I wasn't already on Chikara's network and WWE's network, I might think about picking this one up. But I don't watch enough of the other two that I have already to justify getting a third, so...
Yeah, I mean, this is cool. I think the more avenues you have to watch different kinds of wrestling, that's never a bad thing. I mean, as the person that has, that pays for New Japan World, and I love watching that every time that I can, other than when we got to watch it to review something, and just to network to have that. And as someone that, I pay for things that I pay for Netflix, and the person that watches it the most is my daughter. I don't even watch the thing. And, Hulu, I watch, I think, for anime more than watching TV shows. So, I mean, it's just, having all these subscription things is so weird sometimes because you think you just have it for convenience, and you realize, oh, I might actually want to watch something. Oh, I can just pay $9.99, and there it is. That's cool.
Yeah, you're right. And, everything is being basically a subscription-based product. You can even
the freaking Beatles got on Spotify and everything else right now.
Yeah, see, even that. I mean, there's tons of stuff now, and especially, we're seeing, the cut the cord situation happening more and more. History, you get their app, pay whatever you want to pay to get, their stuff. People like that, trying to give their networks of, availability to people by a certain price. And 99 is good for this, I think. I don't think that's too high or too low. It's shared with what the WWE Network is doing. Is just an alternate. And the one thing I got to ask Paul is, and it sounds crazy, but I'm just really ignorant towards this, but this WSU show, now, to me, I think of CZW, I think of blood, I think of light bulbs, I think of all these hardcore things happening, but with a women's organization, is that why it's uncensored? Do they do the same stuff in that?
It is not a deathmatch wrestling promotion at all. It's based in New Jersey, which is also where CZW is based. So they've co-promoted before, which led to them sort of, I don't want to say, they're pretty much paired up, I guess you could say. They do not do deathmatch wrestling, though.
Okay. I just trying to figure out where the uncensored thing came in. I was like, oh man, they must really get bloody and just get crazy. So, but it's interesting. So if anybody is interested in that, it is available for you to go check out. And if you want it, go purchase it, because I'm sure it is going to be great. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they got. Let's move on over to some news about Ring of Honor. Now, here's some interesting news about Ring of Honor. They will be losing 2 of their stars coming very soon, actually. Michael Bennett and Maria Kanellis are moving on to TNA Impact Wrestling. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, I don't know if I don't know why they would do that. I guess it could be a benefit. Maybe they're getting more money. But to me, Ring of Honor is kind of going in the right direction. TNA, we don't know. They're still in limbo. I mean, do you agree with that, Sean? I'm just kind of dumbfounded by this.
Well, TNA must be figuring out how to pay people. So, I don't understand how they are. Never mind. I know it's the Carters paying the money, but they're not making any money out of this deal with POW TV. How are they paying the Maria Kanellis and Michael Bennett? Like, it's just whatever. This is actually a good signing. They're not bringing in somebody that's, I guess Maria's going to be the bigger deal, I think, because she's going to bring a lot to the Knockouts division. She can finally get back to wrestling, which is something she was doing in WWE before she left. And then Michael Bennett can be a nice addition to the rest of that weird roster that they have right now. I don't know. Maybe Maria just really doesn't care for WWE at this point, but I don't blame them for wanting to move on. I don't know what else Maria herself could really do in ROH. I don't know that Michael Bennett's ever going to get a world title shot, so what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm more of the line of thinking that this is a financial move. Maybe as well as a career move. I don't think Michael Bennett has top guy talent, but whenever I heard that they were going to go to TNA, I immediately thought that they were going to get paired up with EC3, who I think both guys would play, or both Maria and Michael Bennett would play well off of. I don't know if this is a smart move, though. ROH is clearly moving in a more upward direction than TNA is currently. But if they feel like they have something better on the table over here, then you can't blame them for trying to make something of it.
Yeah, definitely. And this is a business. This is like the NFL, the NBA, anybody else who's an athlete. You got to follow the money, even if you may go into a situation you don't know is solid, because you don't get guaranteed dollars in this business, and so you've got to take it when you can get it at times, and that's probably what they are doing. And I think you're right on that, Paul. I think it's something also interesting when you look at guys like Michael. You got Elgin, and you also have War Machine, and they are both kind of doing the working contracts thing, because they are exploring other options, but WWE is the option they're exploring. So to me, that's like, okay, we're working to move up compared to what, we're seeing with Kanellis and Bennett. So I don't know. What do you think about the Elgin and War Machine? I mean, it's kind of interesting to me that they're really thinking about WWE, and WWE's actually got them on their radar.
Elgin this isn't the first time that we've heard that they might be looking at Elgin for a look at NXT. So that's not surprising. War Machine, however, does. They've only been tagging for about a year. I feel like they could use some more time in ROH, especially considering what happened at Final Battle too. So I really hope they both stick around. I think Elgin could find his way in NXT. I think War Machine could still use some more time in ROH, because they would be staying in NXT for a while, I feel like, too, if they do sign. Elgin, on the other hand, I feel like brings a lot more to the table for ROH, and he gets to work for New Japan too, which is a giant bonus for him because he's a very large fan of everything that's going on over there. So.
Yeah, Sean, I mean, just what Paul brought up is what makes me intrigued about this, because to me, Elgin seems so happy wrestling in New Japan and being in the situation he's in. Do you think that maybe he's just finally just kind of thinking, man, if I can get into NXT, maybe I can do something bigger and better? Or do you think, is this a tough thing for him?
I think he has to wonder about his family and providing for them, very much like what Kevin Owens is doing. Let's be honest. He's a gaijin going to New Japan, who's basically only got what he's done this year. He's not going to get. He's going to get a lot more than Juice Robinson, but he's not going to get what AJ is making. So, is it enough for you to make that much? Go to Japan. Now, the thing is, you get a lot of your stuff taken care of that you don't get in the States. NXT you will, but when you go to the main roster, you're going to take care of all that stuff yourself. But do you want to live there, or do you want to do like AJ and you go in and out for different things and whatever, or do you want to know that you're working? Yeah, you have to uproot and go to Tampa. But, I mean, he's got a lot of options open, I'm sure. And he's considering all of them, but... I'm sure the potential money that you can get from if you get to the main roster, and even in NXT, because we've seen a lot of guys, they showed it on Breaking Ground, and I'm sure a lot of the big guys get even bigger raises that we don't even know about. So, I think definitely Michael Elgin will be a name. He'll come in and he will bring people to their feet if he shows up, and it'll be cool to see him, certainly. Now, I agree with Paul about War Machine, but the thing with War Machine, I would say that War Machine can be what they wanted Ascension to be, and they actually have the size to be what they wanted Ascension to be. They are imposing. They have that look of, oh crap, I don't want to mess with these guys. So... if you want, and honestly, I don't know that you can run another kind of gimmick besides that one with them. So, I don't know if that means curtains for O'Brien and Victor or whatever, or Connor and Victor, but, if I'm WWE and they say yes, I'm not going to say no, because they're going to bring a lot of things that makes people want to pay attention to them.
To me, that makes a lot of sense. And, I'm looking at War Machine as being a group that could be, like you said, Sean, like the Ascension. And I think that they'd be very dominant, very believable. They'd be a team that could rise quickly amongst the tag ranks in NXT. And so, I mean, that's what excites me. Elgin, I think that whatever decision he makes, I don't think it's wrong, because I love him in Ring of Honor in New Japan. He's excellent there. If he went to NXT, I think he's got potential there. The only thing I worry about ever in WWE, and it's the same thing you always got to worry about, is them getting put in a situation where they don't get the opportunity to do what they can do best. And so that's what I worry about there in WWE. But at the same point, he could be a big star. So, who knows? What's interesting, too, we're talking about roster moves and some possibilities. Red Dragon has also been a team that has been, out there, and they're also up for contract and available. And right now, they're leaning towards sticking with Ring of Honor. And that is probably the most likely scenario, Paul. Is that the right decision?
Absolutely. I don't think either guy. I mean, Bobby Fish is a little bit on the older side. Kyle O'Reilly's a beast in the ring. He doesn't have a lot on the other side working for him, though. So I think Ring of Honor and New Japan are just the perfect place for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think New Japan really likes Kyle O'Reilly. You can see that they want to do stuff with him in the juniors division. So, and ROH has been trying to push him as of late as a guy that they can make into a star for them. So I think that's a good spot for him because, I mean, honestly, Kyle O'Reilly's great as far as wrestling wise, and so is Bobby Fish, but you have to wonder how much they're going to be able to do with WWE and NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Are they ever going to get out of NXT? That's another thing too, and that's something you have to worry about now. With they're bringing in guys just to be in NXT. So, do you want to be stuck in NXT forever? Maybe you make more money you make on ROH, but you don't go anywhere career-wise.
You bring up a great point, Sean. And there's people that have actually turned down WB that have been actually offered contracts. And we can name two guys that have been a part of Lucha Underground that we know very well. Jack Evans being one of them, and also Angelico. So those two guys said no, no thank you. And maybe they did have that fear. Do you think it was that way?
Maybe. Angelico and Jack Evans both work a very, very high-flying style, as we have seen. And if you've been watching Jack Evans for many years, you'll see he likes to work a more devil-may-care style, too. I think, with Angelico, he works South Africa. He works here in the States with Lucha Underground. He's got the AAA deal. Jack Evans, sort of in the same boat. And maybe they just don't want to change their style. Maybe they like where they're at. There's a lot of reasons why you could say no to the E.
Yeah, I mean, they got a good thing going in AAA. Their features in Lucha Underground. I mean, you're getting a season 3 out of that even, so why change that? I mean, you don't know what you're going to become in NXT. I mean, for guys like that, I mean, I could definitely see Angelico maybe being something, maybe not. It's just you have to wonder how much. Again, like they get to be a lot of themselves in NXT, but then you go to WWE and maybe you don't get that same because you start all over there. So trying to get you over there is such a big deal, and you know how quickly we always see Vince hit the panic button, or how quickly these NXT guys become nothing on the main roster, and then they're just middling around, until somebody says, "Oh, let's do something with them," and you don't know when that's ever going to be for you.
Yeah. Oof. Waiting around for them could be an eternity. So that's what's scary. And I could definitely understand people being very hesitant to sign with WWE because of those reasons, because of the way they do things compared to the way other organizations handle their business. I could see those fears. But then again, it's a risk-reward situation because if you can go there, work hard, and actually get over with not only the crowd, but get over with the guys backstage, or coaches, everybody, you could be making mega bucks and do what you love. So, I mean, it's a very risky reward kind of thing. So, but, talking about maybe some possible future moves and some things that could happen, we've heard, and really rumors have been flying around about the Hardys. We saw the Dudley Boys return to WWE. The Hardys are up for contract soon. There's always that possibility of them finishing their career in WWE. I think they've even hinted that they would like to do that. But one guy in particular between Matt and Jeff is Jeff, who is getting over an injury, but not only that, he has some aspirations. And something that he would like to do is, if he can get back at WWE, he wants to headline a WrestleMania. That's one, which I think a lot of people, let's be honest, most wrestlers, I think, have that dream. Another one is he wants a Hell in a Cell match. So, I mean, that one is kind of interesting because, he's had all these different matches, especially these ladder matches you've seen him in, other kind of hardcore stuff and crazy stunts that he does. I think that'd be good, Hell in a Cell, personally. What do you guys think about this, though? I mean, did Jeff Hardy, wanting to be a headliner at WrestleMania, and then, of course, the Hell in a Cell?
Hell in a Cell, I think, is a total possibility. Headlining WrestleMania, totally within his grasp in 2010 if he didn't end up getting caught for drugs. Today, in 2015, going into 2016, less probable. I'm not going to say unlikely because you never know. He could get over again, but I don't see it happening.
He'll get over again, but I just cannot imagine that they're going to put him in that spotlight again. It's so hard. But see, then again, like WrestleMania is so long now, like you literally sometimes have like 4 main events. So, I mean, it depends on what you want to consider the main event for yourself. I mean, I know everybody says it's the last match, but that depends on you, your definition of that. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a situation where the guy has got a lot of popularity amongst fans, and he has baggage. But it also depends on how much people want to see him. And trust me, WB has brought back people with shady past that have big fan followings, and they've taken the money and run because they know that they get merchandise. They know that people love to see him, and it gets eyes on them. So, let's be honest. They've even taken back people they just don't really care for. Paul Heyman being one of them. We know the McMahons and the Heyman history, and they prefer him not be around, but hey, I mean, he gets their guys over. He sells everything that he does because he's just a great speaker. So it's interesting, and I think that they do business, smart sometimes, even by kind of hurting themselves. But it's one of those things. I'll be really curious to see what Jeff Hardy does in the future. I really do hope the Hardys do come to WB, even if they don't have a singles career. I would just love to see him come back. Let's talk about something else that talks about WrestleMania. WrestleMania 33 has been rumored to be in Minnesota at the new stadium that they are building, but there have been reports out there lately that they may not be getting it. It may actually end up going to Orlando, which would be very interesting. So, I mean, why? You got to ask me this, Sean, and especially answer this because you are a Florida resident right now. Why would they go to Orlando versus a new stadium in Minnesota?
they have NXT there. They already have an established base there. They don't have to. I honestly think that there's some kind of secret deal with Orlando. Now, I think obviously Orlando has to come up to them and say they want to do it, but I think they might have some kind of secret deal that says, because they have Performance Center, because they have NXT there, all that stuff. There's still rumors going around if they do a physical Hall of Fame that it will probably be in Orlando as well. Orlando has now become the new New York, where they have to have a WrestleMania in Orlando every 10 years or so.
Mm.
And it's almost getting to that. WrestleMania 24 was in Orlando last, so we're almost getting to that. Close to that there.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Paul, I mean, I just don't. I don't understand why. I mean, for everything Sean said, it makes sense. But at the same point, I mean, you would think you would take advantage of this new stadium, take advantage of being in Minnesota, a place that has a wrestling history.
Yeah, but I mean, like Miami and just Florida in general has sort of become a hotbed for hosting big events. Like they've had the Super Bowl quite a few times the last year in Florida. You have a lot of bigger bowl games in Florida too. So I mean, there's a lot happening around Florida, and weather consistencies. Like they would like the outdoors events. New York is touchy on weather because it can get so gosh darn cold. But I mean, it's always nice and sunny in Florida.
Not sunny is another thing of the matter. It's either rainy or sunny, but you're right. As far as you're not going to get snow.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just,
admittedly, if you walk for 4 more blocks, the rain will stop in Miami.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
I experienced that firsthand when we were down there for WrestleMania. So
you gotta love it. See, the only place I know,
literally, it's like that, old cartoon of the rain cloud being on my head, kind of. It's literally like that.
Oh boy. The only place I know it's always sunny is Philadelphia. But anyway,
Oh,
Well
love
played,
that show.
Gary.
Thank you.
Yep.
I love that show. My
Not
wife.
that they need it anymore, you know.
I
but,
know. But we'll have to find out. I mean, these are all rumors. Just like to throw that out there. Just kind of see what people think. Talking about these different things that are going on in the wrestling world. There's one thing that I think that I'm really interested in what Paul has to say about this, because New Japan has come out with new titles. That's right. They came out with a 6-man never open weight tag title. And so, I mean, this is interesting because, this definitely gives people, in those 6-man tags an opportunity to, have really serious battles. So, really, kind of give me your thoughts on this, Paul.
I got some mixed emotions on this one. It's their 7th active title, which is just way too many. But they do have a lot of multi-man matches. It might give their lower card and mid-card guys something to strive for, because that's pretty much what your undercard is on a lot of these shows, are these mixed tag matches. So, there's something to be said for them invoking this. A lot of, DDT has a 6-man title. A couple other promotions in Japan have 6-man titles. Obviously, it's a bigger thing in Mexico too, but I feel like you could do something with this. I just, with the match that we're getting at Wrestle Kingdom, I know this match, these belts are already going to the Bullet Club. It's going to be a thing.
yeah, well, because the Briscoes aren't winning them. Even though, again, we saw Kyle O'Reilly, he goes around with the junior tag belts with Red Dragon, so, it's not totally out of the realm, but that'd be really weird to see Yano with a tag belt. It's just, for me, I almost say thank God, because I'm tired of seeing 6-man matches that just don't mean a damn thing. I know they have to have them, and I don't get mad about it. It's kind of like one of those when you have to see them so many times on one card, sometimes you're just like, oh my God, it just never ends, does it? And so finally, at least now they kind of matter. And I guess, Yujiro can finally matter again. So, that's a plus. And hey, Tama Tonga will be, going up somewhere. So.
There you go. Oh, man. It is what it is. I think it could be good. Some of these multi-man matches, to me, sometimes we see them so much, especially in New Japan. And at times I kind of lack interest because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really have a certain point that it's going to go anywhere, to me personally. And I think this could make it matter more to me. But like Paul said, when you get a lot of titles, sometimes it kind of takes away from some of the other stuff going on.
Well, Gary, another place where they seem to endlessly have 6-man tags, WWE.
Yeah, I know.
What if they did a title for that in WWE?
See, it would make them matter.
I swear, you can just make that Teddy Long meme every show because it's gonna happen.
If only Teddy Long were still with us, just, man, he would love those belts. He really would.
He would. Mm-hmm. I would love to see him come out there. All right, playa, this is for the Tag Team Championship. That's right, the Trifecta Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, if he doesn't get to guest announce the first match that crowns those champions, that's a crime against humanity.
It really is. Let's be honest. I wouldn't have a problem personally. WWE has hinted that they may do something like that. It wouldn't bother me too much, but at the same point, it takes away from the tag belts. I kind of would want one or the other.
The NWA had them like that before. It's not like it's totally unheard of.
Those belts lasted 10 months though.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea for WWE to do it. I wouldn't. They can't seem to keep their tag division consistent. Once you can book that consistently, then maybe you look at 6-man titles.
The perfect time would have been when the Shield was around, because they were so dominant that you could have debuted those titles, because you literally had a new trio facing them every week, it seemed like. So you really could have done that, but now it's just it's the main event 6-man or this mid-card 6-man, and doesn't really have any context to it,
Very true. And once again, I mean, how far can you go with this? I mean, you got the Wyatt family; they got 4. So I mean, what if we have other factions coming?
And another reason why it works in New Japan is because they have those 2 huge factions where you can literally take members of those factions and build the division around it if they wanted to.
Yep.
So.
Exactly. So it's very interesting, and we'll have to kind of see how it works in New Japan, and maybe WB may consider it. I mean, you never know; they may actually take a page out of New Japan's book. But let's look at a couple more things before we get out of here, guys, and move on to Raw. Let's quickly talk about Joey Ryan and his new YouPorn deal. That's right; he has made a deal.
I can't believe we'd ever be talking about YouPorn.
I know. And he's going to be wearing their clothing. He is going to be, basically a sponsored part of that website. And, it's, to me, it's interesting. I know primarily it probably came out because of that video that he recently had. But, I just got to know, what do you think about this, Sean? I mean, this is, like you said, we never thought we'd be talking about YouPorn on this show.
Credit to Joey Ryan for making that dick suplex go viral and whatever, and he got himself a deal. I mean, hey, he can be kind of comfortable now, and now he's signed to Lucha Underground, so that helps him too. I mean, that's cool. I mean, I'd still rather be Brock Lesnar with Jimmy Johns than YouPorn, but it works for his character. So.
Paul, I'm waiting for that little sucker that he has to have like something like YouPorn written on it or something like that.
It's
and it the inscription.
The
good at sucking.
No,
don't change it, Sean. Oh, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah,
it's terrible. Oh,
yeah, I mean, if that video hadn't gone viral, this wouldn't be a thing. That's why we're here.
Hey,
the
we
video
had like
went
5
viral.
people post that thing in the group. So.
It was. It's not like the group had it. My Facebook page, my feed was just plastered with it because everybody who likes wrestling and that I'm friends with is just like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And they're not wrong. It's just, you see it 20,000 times, and Joey Ryan doing a hip tops with his wiener is only going to be entertaining so many times.
So true. But every once in a while, a view at it's not bad. But I think this is good for Joey Ryan.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, it works just like a like a porn site. You go every once in a while, you view it, you get off, and that's what you do with Joey Ryan's stuff. So.
That's what his career has been, huh? But no. I think it's good for this reason. We heard CM Punk complain that, hey, he couldn't do these kind of things because WWE wouldn't let him. And, there's other wrestlers that have had to find ways to make money. And this is a good way. I mean, he's viral, of course. That's what got him this deal. This could encourage other guys to get on board. So, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just, not something I'm into, but whatever.
I'd love to see him try to go to WWE, and he goes, "Oh, but I've got a sponsorship deal with you for." Oh, excuse me. There's the door.
That would just be the best pitch ever. I would love to be a fly in the wall for that meeting.
I would love to see Stephanie's face when it happens. Oh boy. But one last thing, guys, we gotta get out of quick hits because we've kind of run longer than I expected. But one last thing we do have to mention before we get out of here, and this is really great, and we've heard about this before, but I mean, once again, NXT is just blowing and going, man. They have sold out the Midwest already. That's right. Their tour that they were going in the Midwest, they sold all their tickets quickly and fast. I know you're laughing at my.
Did you really have to say blowing and going after the last news bit? God bless you, Gary.
Gary's got it on the mind.
You see, it sticks with you. We'll be making more references later. But anyway, so let's back on track. NXT has sold out, all these great shows in the Midwest. I'm excited about that. But NXT TakeOver Dallas sold out in 15 minutes. And trust me, Sean and I firsthand, getting tickets was not, the easiest thing. We did the pre-sale, and my wife actually bought the tickets for us because, we were both working, and so my wife is at home. She did it, and she freaked out and had to call Sean. Hey, I can't get the tickets. They're not there. But she luckily got some. But it shows you how important NXT is to wrestling.
That's a 10,000 seat building, so it's not like it's one of these little rinky-dink 500 seat things. It's not the American Airlines Center either, but I'm sure that would have sold out in about an hour anyway. So
yeah, I don't know why they didn't book the AAC.
I think what we talked about, I think Patrick mentioned it. We discussed it, that it's a little bit different scenario for them to go from NXT to switching the whole arena around to basically a red carpet show the next night, as opposed to switching it around from a wrestling show to another wrestling show for SummerSlam. So I think it's a little bit of a more different scenario, something they didn't want to have to go through. Plus, maybe they don't have access to ASC for that Friday or something. Maybe the Mavs have a game, or who knows. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it would have been awesome. Would have been awesome if they would have been able to do American Airlines Center, but still cool. It's this one's in Dallas as well, so you're not having to go too far if you get a hotel around there.
Yeah, and if you're in the Dallas area and you're not, you don't live here, of course. If you're coming from out of town, there is a DART rail train that'll take you to that Caleb Bailey Convention Center. I'm trying to think what exact stop it is, but anyway, it is right there on your way. So if you go to the AAC or the Convention Center, they're both on the route. You won't miss them. Very easy travel. So it's good. I'm glad that they're having it there. I had originally thought it was going to be in Arlington, and I was like, gosh darn it, because I hate to travel to Arlington. It's a bummer. But anyway. So that is Quick Hits, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, as much as we did. Not a great climax, I guess, in a way. But,
oh, God. Seriously?
But maybe we can, have a cool down here, and we can go ahead and talk some Monday Night Raw, right? Slammy's time, guys. Let's do it. We'll be right back.
Gary, my God.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, so I thought I pressed the wrong button because I thought I unmuted and accidentally muted instead. Let's see how many not sexual jokes we can make in this Raw review, or should I say the Slammies edition of Monday Night Raw, that had a lot of female slapping, I'll say that, of people's faces, not of something else. So, but anyway, I had to get that out of the way. Anyway,
I know.
Sorry. So, I mean, I don't know. This opening segment was Roman Reigns doing his best John Cena impression, kind of doing funny stuff with Stephanie, making her feel ashamed and all this stuff because he turned her back on her, which was so infantile because, she just told him to get out of the ring, and because he turned his back to her, all of a sudden, I want to get back in the ring now, is whatever. They handed out a bunch of awards. Okay, let's be honest about this show. It was all about handing out awards. They had some matches. Some of them were decent. Some of the other ones were just there. And we only got to see Roman Reigns here at the beginning and then at the end. So, I mean, at least we didn't get an overflow of Roman Reigns, but did you like how they used him? Did you not like how they used him during the show?
I was a little miffed that they kind of blew a cage match here, but it's whatever. Ambrose and Sheamus actually proved to be a really good match. But I do find that Reigns will be getting beat down. Nobody helps him. Ambrose somehow has to overcome the odds inside a cage. Here comes Roman Reigns. You know, like, some more consistent booking I think would be helpful. But, I mean, I wasn't against how they used Reigns on this fair Monday evening.
Well, you know, we're doing wish lists later. I think that's going to be my thing for WWE. This is, can we just get consistency, please? Like, one way or the other. I mean, I get it. It's all about Roman Reigns 24/7. You want to make Roman Reigns the focal point. You want to make it where he's the savior. He's this. He's that. But I mean, you know, I just didn't like this. I thought that they should have come out, had Roman Reigns basically come out and say, "This is me. I'm going to be kicking ass and taking names and whatever." And we didn't get any of that. We got the Roman Reigns I don't know that I necessarily care for, with Stephanie doing stuff and slapping him around and whatever. And it's just like, why? You know?
Yeah, to me, okay, I have two ways of looking at this, and the one way I have, and this only is about the opening segment. I think the match stuff and him getting involved, you know, it's not consistent, but it is what it is. It's what I've come to expect. But I just want to talk about the promo stuff. I need to talk about this because I think that once again, I feel like he did an okay job. Didn't do terrible, and I don't want people to think I'm saying that, but I still think he's a little still too tied to a script. I think he's still tied to what he's going to say, and it doesn't come off as real. Let's just say it that way. Doesn't come out as being something he would actually say. So that's something that bothers me, and I just don't feel it, and that's a shame. But and the other side of me is, okay, so he is supposed to be the savior for the kids, and the kids are supposed to love him like they love John Cena, and everything he does is supposed to be a role model thing. But just the way he's very disrespectful and things like that, it's like, okay, putting on my 1950s hat, I'm like, how is that a good example of what you're supposed to show kids? You know, like, watch, this is going to really make her mad, and ignore her. I mean, I could see a little kid thinking, oh, I could do that to my mom, or I could do that to my teachers, and things like that. I know it sounds 1950s. I'm just putting that out there. If you're going to gear a guy towards the kids so much, why are you teaching kids that?
You have a point, because kids will see that, and they probably will, you know, think it's funny to imitate what they saw there, and perhaps do that. But, you know, I just don't see, you made this whole point about Roman Reigns being different on TLC. You gave that moment out of other moments that were much more extreme and much better than Roman Reigns beating up Triple H, the extreme moment of the year and everything, and then you're going to kind of bring it back to almost a hybrid of what you were doing with it before that people didn't like.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. You bring it that point, and that's exactly what I agree with. And the other thing is you don't need that many words. That's why I don't like the whole segment at the beginning, because I think he's just way too much of Roman Reigns on the mic. He needs to be more silent and just act.
And then he's like, "Oh, but they don't want me to leave." But they...
Oh, come on, for y'all.
Why is he playing like a nursery rhyme game with Stephanie? Like, just...
He's like that kid at school that you want to be nice to him because he's fun at times, but then other times he's annoying. And you just want to walk away because he says something so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, he came out so well with the, like, oh, I don't give a crap about any of you McMahons, and especially your husband, and all this stuff, and I thought we were about to get, like, kick-ass Roman Reigns, and then, nope, we had to go back to the, you know, that. It's whatever. But, I mean, Neville did win Breakout Star of the Year over Kevin Owens, even though you could tell very easily that the 7 was supposed to be, they thought Kevin Owens would win, and they were going to have Kevin Owens come out there and gloat, and Neville won. And then he kind of basically told Neville to, you know, go on your merry way. And then he went out and gloated instead, which was fine. Then he got into it with Ziggler, which I still don't know how Ziggler gets a title match on SmackDown. He lost. Like, does that make any sense to anyone?
Remember who we're talking about here, Sean.
It makes as much sense as, what Roman Reigns did last week and getting, in a reward for being a jerk and beating up the in-law and all of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This company. Just, I don't understand that. Like, he lost. He gets the title. Okay. What, did, like, Dean Ambrose feel sorry for him or something? And just, whatever works for you, man. Apparently that match on SmackDown was actually pretty good. We will not be talking about that Super SmackDown because none of us watched it. So if you were expecting a Super SmackDown live review, sorry. But yeah, I mean, this was fine. This is kind of what you get. I mean, his match with Ziggler was good. Maybe the best match on the show, but that's not saying much. What did you guys think?
It was okay. Like you said, it wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was still good. I think I might give the edge just to the cage match because it was longer, even though that finish was kind of screwy. But it had Dean and Sheamus. How am I not going to like that? So.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least we got consistency with the Wyatts continuing their domination of the same people over and over.
Kane. We all wanted Kane. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they even messed up his pyro even. So, and does anybody just think that wig is just, that looks so stupid now? Like, we know the dude has no hair. Like, we know that's a wig now. Like, and it looks so fake. Just don't have the wig.
Okay,
that's what I was thinking about the whole time when he's wrestling. Like, damn, that looks so dumb.
See, and Paul would probably disagree with me, and you guys, everybody may disagree with me, but I'll just say it this way. My personal opinion, it's fine. And it's fine because it's been there, and it's been something that's been a staple.
He's had that power since 1997, and they apparently couldn't get that right tonight.
Well, I know. But I'm just saying the hair thing, I get it, but it's kind of like to me when Finn puts on the makeup for the demon. It's Finn under there, and you kind of understand that, but at the same time, the demon comes out every once in a while. Kind of the same with Kane. I mean, it's you know what the underneath.
We've seen Undertaker go through many variations of his hair.
Some are very terrible.
Yeah, some of them are very terrible, but he's the Undertaker. He can make it work. But just saying.
It's Kane. Who cares? That's.
I'm only talking about this because I don't care about what happened in the match or anything. So I had to amuse myself in some way.
That's fair. I mean, the Wyatt squashed him in like 3 minutes. So, it's whatever.
I thought Tommy Dreamer was done, but apparently he just keeps coming back. I mean, he has nothing else to do, so.
Well, you got to pay for House of Hardcore somehow.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, I mean, at least, hey, we got Santino back. He's always great for like the times he comes in. He makes you laugh. I don't know about doing it every week, but I like having him in small doses. And then, you throw him in there with R-Truth winning the award for it, which it's been a while since I've seen that, and it made me bust out laughing again with the whole, he comes in and he thinks he's at the Money in the Bank and he's not. I mean, that was just, if that was planned, that was like one of the greatest freaking comedy segments I think they've ever done. Like, it's just...
The clear winner here was the Miz's erectile dysfunction commercial.
Yes.
That was the funniest thing they've done all year. They got robbed. It got robbed.
The New Day and the Edge and Christian thing was pretty good too, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Big E eating a kazoo. I mean, that image sticks with you.
Yeah. I mean, I think really the real winner should be Xavier Woods in the trombone. That's the real winner every week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weekly. Yeah.
I love the Mick Foley making fun of that later with him being Santa Claus. Like, why did they give him that trombone? It's so annoying. Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just basically saying that I think all those comedy segments were good. And really, it's hard to pick one because they are so funny. So, really, there's no clear winner. If you ask me, I think they're all equally good.
Yeah, Kalisto Salida del Sol from TLC wins OMG Shocking Moment of the Year. I mean, it's pretty awesome. So I don't think I can complain there. Even though I think Seth Rollins cashing in at WrestleMania is still the most crazy moment of the year, because I don't think we expected it, but we didn't expect them to actually do it.
They gave it to Kalisto because he lived. He lived from the spot. That deserves a Slammy.
And they also didn't want Rollins out there twice. Sure.
I mean, that's fair too, but Kalisto lived, and it was an excuse for a luchador to wear a suit. And I agree with Larry. Luchadors always look awesome in suits.
True, very true. I mean, Bushi was doing it already for New Japan this entire time. So
yeah.
But we did get Seth Rollins to win Superstar of the Year. What did you think seeing him out there? I mean, but see, this is the thing. Like Seth Rollins, I thought cut one hell of a promo. This is what I'm expecting from Roman Reigns. And Seth Rollins comes out there and just knocks it out of the park. Like, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to be. I'm going to come out there and I'm going to take back my title. Like, hey, listen, I'm still Seth Rollins. Pay attention to me. Don't forget about me, because I will be back with a vengeance. That was solid.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think what they want out of Reigns, they got out of Rollins. And, it might take what they did with Rollins, giving Reigns all this time on camera to make, getting comfortable and acclimated and whatever else term you want to use. But
we've always thought of Rollins as he was going to be the face guy, right? We didn't think about him as being the heel. And look what he's done now. I think when he comes back, he's going to be a face. And then look what you could have done with Roman.
Yeah, I think you got to kind of hint towards the face stuff a little bit in that when he started talking about that it was all taken away with one bad landing. I think it kind of points
he wanted to say thank you, but he just couldn't because
Yep.
I mean, and they were where were they? They were in Minneapolis. I mean, they were in Middle America. They weren't in a smarky town or anything like that. And they were chanting "Thank you, Rollins." I mean, so obviously people are recognizing him for what he did.
It's a wrestling town. I mean, Minneapolis has a huge wrestling history, so.
I know. I'm just, one thing I could tell you is, the hometown boy was not here. Paul Heyman had to come out twice to accept. Well, he presented an award and then accepted the Match of the Year award, which, out of the nominees they had, I think that was fair enough. The winner. I don't think anybody would have handled that better than the way Heyman handled it, because he knew everybody wanted to see Brock. They've been teased with Brock. Let's face it. The theme of this show was, sorry, this person's not here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird that they would have a show that is an award ceremony and then most of them are not there. It makes no sense at all. I think they should. I don't know.
I mean, really, you couldn't have had Sting show up and accept the award?
You can't ruin the theme, man. The theme is nobody's here. That's the theme.
Okay. So are they holding true? And I don't know if it's a work. It probably is.
Apparently, they cannot work polls. There's something. It's a legality thing. They cannot work those.
Okay, so legitimately, I can't blame them because of the fact that they can't help who wins. And they also can't help what people are going to show up to and what they're not going to show up to. And let's be honest, I'm sure Sting had better things to do than to show up for Slammies. So.
It's not about Sting. Look, if Sting's going to he's not going to say no. Hey, I'm going to get paid to stand here.
He's still recovering from the surgery, isn't he?
True, yeah, he is. I think he actually hasn't had. I thought he hadn't had the surgery yet. They were saying he needed neck surgery, but
Maybe something like that. I know there's still surgery stuff involved for him, so.
right. I mean, just some of these. The one thing that bothered me, I think more than anything else on this show. I get that this is probably what Coca-Cola agreed to, but this Hero in All of Us award is so contradictory to what you're supposed to do. Mark Henry tried to save it with the stuff he said in the speech, and that's fine. I don't like the way they did the award. You don't honor someone. Now, I get that the NFL does it, okay, but I just don't believe in honoring the best person that did charity this year. Why? You're making a point to honor that person. Just why didn't all of them come out there and go, these 5 people did great charity work this year. They're the heroes in All of Us, or whatever. Just, man, it rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't like it when they do stuff like that, that they're promoting them. I remember when they first started showing the stuff with John Cena with the Make-A-Wish, and he made it a point that he really didn't want that shown on camera, and then all of a sudden they just blew up with all that. And it makes me, it's like a big PR stunt more than it is doing it because you're doing it to do it,
Yeah, I know what you mean. And, the NFL does do it, and there's other organizations that do these kind of things, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I
just don't believe Jason Witten does it because he wants to win the Man of the Year award.
And I agree with that, but I think in those scenarios, it's not like what WWE does. WWE, if you'll notice in those packages, almost all those guys shared Susan G. Coleman. They all shared different things. Like, they each did have specifics, like Titus O'Neil and the Homeless, John Cena and Make-A-Wish, Roman Reigns, the Bullying Campaign. They did have some variances, but some of them were similar. And so I kind of think, man, just highlight one of the things that they do. You don't have to go over every single thing, and just maybe they shouldn't even do that. Maybe they should just pick. You don't get to find out, a whole lot of information on what the polls say. I think Coca-Cola should just chose their winner and just said, here they are.
And that's fair too. I mean, really, this was one of the, I think, more frivolous Slammy awards, but, why can't we just have a video package just honoring the people who do great charity work? Like, we all know Cena does stuff. We've seen Titus O'Neil do stuff. We've seen Roman Reigns do a couple stuff. So, I mean, why, a video package about, hey, here's the heroes of us all, sponsored by Coca-Cola, and here's all the great charity stuff we've been doing is fine,
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
Right,
like
yeah. I like that idea. Speaking of frivolous, the Diva of the Year award was made frivolous by them trying to copy the Miss America fiasco that happened not too long ago. Look, it got on publicity, but it's dumb. Just absolutely dumb. Like, you could hear the audience go, "Oh, really?"
I mean, at least they're trying to be relevant. Usually WWE is like 4 months late with relevant stuff. So, I mean, good on them for trying.
Yeah, but at the same point, it makes no sense because Nikki Bella all of a sudden has turned into a face. I mean,
this has already been determined.
Arguing about this versus a face. It doesn't matter with the women. They don't care.
Yeah. They play jump rope.
That's what's terrible.
In fact, Nikki Bella went on Instagram and said, maybe Paige will join Team Bella.
Jesus.
Like,
Sweet God.
Just, and I could see it happening because they are, like, her, Brie, and Paige go around on Total Divas all the time. So, I wouldn't be surprised.
I just wish Nikki Bella would just quit and go join Team Joey Ryan.
Gary, you're hoping for bad things there.
I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with her anymore.
That's not. You're gonna get a lot of her if she goes and joins Team Joey Ryan over there. She'll be on more news sites than you're gonna. She'll be the new Kim Kardashian. You don't want all that. I mean, you know, when Kim Kardashian's emoji app breaks the iTunes store, I think about I've had enough of people making money off of stupid things. Anyway, hey, at least Becky won a match without stuff needing to happen for her to win. So that's something, I guess. I don't know where they're going with this because they've seemed to just constantly make it a deal that she's either accepting or not accepting the fact that she is going with Charlotte. So, okay.
Great win. Very awkward every time I see her and Charlotte as a team now.
I'm done with frenemies booking. I'm done with it. Just, this is the more frustrating part, I think, of Raw is not only can they not decide who's facing heel, but they seem to want to do frenemies feuds all the time because that's something apparently women are going to flock to. Like, I'm done. It's Paige and AJ was fine. I'm done with it. Let's move on to something more, creative. But I mean, maybe that's asking too much.
Did you see Brie like, hey, this is what you want, right? For me to do the Daniel Bryan thing, and then people were chanting no, and she's like, okay, I'll just keep doing it. Like,
stop hitting
Brie.
yourself. God, it made me sick when I saw her get up. I was like, oh,
it's still like really so. So the whole thing you channel when you get drunk is the thing that makes you go do a knee in somebody's face. All right, free mode, yeah. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
I just wish that instead of saying Brie mode, she would just say "buckle up, buckaroo," and just do it that way.
Gary, I'm sorry, man. Are you way up on those meds today? I mean,
I'm just saying South Park reference if no one knows it. Anyway, go ahead.
Hey, so we had this cage match. I thought this was actually pretty good. They did some nice spots in here. I guess Sheamus really is stupid because of the ending. I mean, how do you just knock the guy off the cage? Don't you know what's going to happen if you knock the guy off the cage?
Sheamus no think good.
Man. Goes along with his stupid hair.
It's a really lame setup to do a kind of a neat spot, but I don't like logically it doesn't make any sense. The match was fine up until that point. The finish sort of took away, but
yeah, and then Roman Reigns came out and gave Ambrose a chair and all this kind of stuff, to kind of even the odds, and so at least there's that. Roman comes and helps out his buddy, and then he keeps attacking Sheamus anyway, and then poor Tom Phillips, he just, my lord. Stephanie hadn't emasculated anybody in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess.
Well, gotta fill that quota.
Yeah.
One a week.
You gotta fill it. God.
Why didn't she win? She should have won a Slammy.
Yeah, exactly.
The ball taker award.
Continuing with our YouPorn theme tonight.
Yeah. Just saying.
No, but that one was pretty appropriate because that's pretty much what she did too. Tom Phillips there.
Yeah, that's what she does best. Okay, that's whatever we get. the Tom Phillips thing, I guess, because it's appropriate for Stephanie. But I've got to mention this before we move out of this. I got to talk about the fact that does anybody even care? Are we even supposed to look at the League of Nations as something? Because to me, just tonight alone, talking about this Raw, I mean, they have gone so far to the bottom of the barrel. If you ask me, it's awful. I mean, Roman Reigns just took him out by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they feel like just nothing again. Once the title was off of them, they feel like nothing. I mean that's, yeah.
They're a short-term solution to a problem that they had sort of sprung upon them. So, like, I think the League of Nations has more than fulfilled their role. They can disappear, and you can have...
Yeah, John Cena will just take them all out next week.
Or, yeah, I mean, or Roman Reigns will, or, so, you know, like, it doesn't really matter what happens to these guys now. Their part is done, much like Sheamus' part with the championship is done. It's on Reigns. You need to find that guy, and, you know, I don't know who that is.
Should you just go ahead and give the title back to John Cena at this point?
I think you have Reigns and Brock Lesnar rematch.
No, I'm talking about beating Del Rio.
Oh, I think you have anybody beat Del Rio at this point. He's done nothing for that championship.
He's made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing that he's in a stable with Wade Barrett, because he pretty much Wade Barretted the title. I mean,
get advice from him, you know. They talk.
Yeah, exactly.
I just was curious, how can I make this suck even more?
How can I take all the heat away from a championship, Wade?
Don't defend it, and when you do, I mean, look, he's looked strong in his matches. I mean, at least that was just have a shitty finisher like my Wasteland.
I don't think he's lost since he's come back, has he?
No, I don't think he has. I mean, at least there's that.
I mean, that's pretty impressive for a guy who looks like he doesn't care whenever he's in the ring, but...
Oh, God. Makes me not care watching it.
Yeah.
I go fast forward. I feel bad for Jack Swagger because he's a good talent, but it's just... And we can't leave without acknowledging, you know, what is still the best part of Raw, the New Day, for being upset about the fact that they did not win Tag Team of the Year. Seriously, how did the Usos win Tag Team of the Year? They were out for half of it.
Crime against humanity.
Shame, shame, shame.
Not enough unicorns out there to fix this one, guys.
Nope. I'll sell you my unicorn hat of My Little Pony.
It's a little, it's a little phallic shaped.
Yeah. That's... God. I thought we were done with that. Anyway, you know, I was, you know, Big E almost made me turn the TV off, though he was going to spoil Star Wars. And, you know,
can't have that.
No, we cannot have that. Apparently, you're going to have wars on Facebook about that, too. So, I love how Kofi's like, I have not seen the movie yet, but you grown, man. You grown.
That's why you call me Pops. I love that. See, you couldn't have any Star Wars spoilers.
We're all grown here. That's why we've been making stupid jokes all day.
I know.
Of course.
I know. But, you know, the one thing that we can enjoy in this is the New Day thrusting. I mean, that never gets old.
God, Gary, Jesus.
As somebody who follows Big E on Twitter and has told fans on Twitter that he wants to look at their children while he's doing it to creep them out, I think it's pretty appropriate that Gary made that comment.
Yeah, I love how like Big E's response to the whole thing was, "What's wrong with you people?" That was the response I had to. How does the Usos keep winning these awards? Well.
Yeah.
We gotta rate this Raw. I'm gonna say it gets a 5.
Yep.
You know, it was fine. There was nothing like totally offensive about it, but there was nothing like that makes you go, oh man, I'm gonna want to watch this again. Highly forgettable once it's over.
Yeah.
a very flat, very boring 3 hours, save for 2 matches. I'm with you though. It's a 5. I mean, some of the award stuff was pretty okay, and the 2 matches, of course. But everything else, you could throw it in the trash.
Yep, I agree. We'll sweep it. I've got a 5 as well. So there you go. Hopefully, this. Well, let's be honest. We knew the Slammies wasn't going to be great. It's an okay show,
ever is.
but it's kind of a show that is just there to remember some fun things in the past and maybe get a few matches in here and there.
Glad
so
Gary didn't make you play the song again because
yes, yeah, exactly. See,
the song gets overplayed.
It's awful. But anyway. All right, guys, let's move on. We've got a few other things we need to do. And, of course, we're going to talk about a Christmas wish list coming up soon. But before we do, we want to talk about Ring of Honor Final Battle. So what we're going to do, guys... go ahead, Sean.
Oh, never mind.
We're going to do that, as well as we're going to cover back-to-back Ring of Honor TV following our discussion about Final Battle. So this is going to be kind of a fun segment, just all Ring of Honor, and of course, back-to-back. So here we go. Paul is going to lead us down that road right after this.
We're not covering NXT first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Bleh, I blanked. All right, let's do NXT first. You are totally right, Sean. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, I'm so excited about talking Final Battle. I'm trying to put it ahead. It's not that early. I'm not going to get to open up that present right now.
We would have, but Final Battle happened on Friday night. And by the time everybody's listening to this, it's almost a week old.
Yeah. See, it's like that Christmas present. It's really big, and you want to open that one first, but your mom's like, no, you can't. You've got to open up this one before you can open up that one. So that's what we're going to do now. We're opening NXT. Not that was bad, but hey, we got to talk about it. I'm excited about it. Let's talk NXT.
WWE Developmental NXT.
And I did not do what Gary said. I made the dumb decision of deciding I was going to go ahead and do all the updates and everything for the Wii U, and my daughter saw it, and then I was like, oh, well, can't put that back under the tree now. So,
yeah.
At least I got to make cool videos of her and I dancing. So,
there you go.
There you go. Anyway, so NXT was basically still from London because this is the stuff that they taped before TakeOver London. Very similar to what they did last time with TakeOver Brooklyn, which Raw will be in Brooklyn to end the year next week. So that should be interesting, how they take to that show and what they do for that show. But getting to NXT, if I can ever get to the actual part in this sheet where I have NXT. We start off with that 8-man tag. It's Blake and Murphy and Chad Gable and Jason Jordan against the Hype Bros and the Vaudevillains. My lord, did this crowd go absolutely insane when Chad Gable and Jason Jordan came out. It probably borders that same one that Enzo and Big Cass got at Brooklyn. I mean, they were going insane for them. And Gable had his own little song. I know there was a lot of people that were just, again, I don't understand the maybe because I kind of tune it out. I'm able to do that because I'm so used to watching, English soccer matches or whatever. But the people that just rained down on this London crowd again, just reading more stuff, and the people that just went absolutely nuts on them.
Clearly, they hate fun.
No, I think it's a lot of people just don't understand that that's what they do. Like, this is what they do at soccer games. All day long, they sing. They make songs. They chant. I mean, it's what they do. And, like, I think if one of the wrestlers had a problem with it, they would have said something. But none of the wrestlers did. So, like, why are you trying to be so analytical about, oh my God, it like, they were so annoying, they were trying to make it all about themselves, and I don't know, I remember them booing the people they're supposed to boo and cheering the people they're supposed to cheer, and whatever. You know, I don't.
Yeah. I don't understand where people think that they have the right to censor, but, you know, it is what it is. I love the crowd. I enjoy it. I'm a fan of that kind of stuff just because it shows me that people are enthusiastic. The songs, I don't care what it is. It's getting in.
Save the Gable. I mean,
yeah.
how awesome is that?
You gotta love that stuff. I'm sorry, it's just great.
And like Jordan, man, he got a Suplex City chant because he went nuts on everybody, and I mean, fantastic stuff. I mean, Gable and Jordan won it for their team, and the crowd got to be happy about it. This was really fun. Great way to open the show.
This match was really a lot of fun. Lots of great spots. It's very fast paced. And I let it be known, I will mark for anybody who does a capture suplex. Jordan does one in this match. I'm a Jason Jordan mark for life now. That's the equation.
And after watching his thing on Breaking Ground, like I just feel for him more of all his stuff he's had to go through, how he almost didn't make it, and like how him and Gabe, like you really do feel like what they go through on that show. What you feel it when they're wrestling too, the chemistry they have, that they really do work as a tag team, and it's tremendous. You know, just they're so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I totally agree. And these guys are quickly becoming, the hottest tag team in NXT. It was obvious the London crowd loved them. I think the people at Full Sail love them, and I think people around the world do.
Gable and Jordan versus New Day match at this point. Like, I think that NXT crowd would just not know what to do with themselves.
Just imagine this, okay? So picture this. These guys come out, and, of course, New Day outnumbers them, so, it's a special moment, and Kurt Angle comes and joins them.
Oh, God. I think I would go nuts.
I think the
Wouldn't
internet
we all
might
have
die.
a markout moment if Kurt Angle shows up for that? Like,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the internet would explode and die. Like,
and so looks like we won't have NXT for 2 weeks because they're doing a best of NXT. Part 1. I imagine part 2 comes the week after. So we get a little break from NXT. Then we get to see Elias Sampson wrestle for the first time. I thought his little pre-tape promo was neat. He comes out with the guitar over his shoulder like a drifter, and then he just beats down Bull Dempsey. He has a nice looking elbow drop. That's about it. I didn't think anything else he did was that great or anything.
yeah, what we got here feels kind of dull. Like, I don't have a lot of faith that the Drifter gimmick is going to be something that gets over. It's a neat idea, but so far, I don't know if this is the guy that gimmick's going to work for. But we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, this is the first time we've really been exposed to what the gimmick's about, so Lord knows it only takes a couple of awesome segments to get a gimmick over.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree, and the one thing that I'll say about this kind of gimmick, it takes a special kind of person to pull it off, and he may be able to pull it off, but to me, it's something that you've really got to live and breathe, and I don't know that you have to, just because you're a drifter, have a guitar. It's almost like they're stereotyping.
And that promo they had him cut was almost like a poor man's Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, no, we can't do this again.
Yeah, man, you know what I would love? I would love it if it was a guy, and I know I'd take away the comedy aspect of it, but there's a show called The League, and there's a guy on there, Rafi, and take away all the funny stuff, but he's legitimately a guy that pops up out of nowhere. He's had all sorts of experiences. He's been over, done everything, crazy stuff. And I think that's a drifter kind of character that people could get behind, and it's not hokey. This one kind of seems hokey. I have fear.
I'm sorry, every time I think of Rafi, it's just something terrible.
I know, it's awful. But my point being in that whole thing is, when he talks, he always talks, oh, I've been here. Oh, I've been all the way. Yeah, I've done that. I've done that. Because he's
who's
traveled.
worse, him or Taco on that show.
Well, I think Rafi is because he sits with a kid eating hot dog while he's on the toilet. So.
Anyway, getting out of that visual. Sami Zayn and the Perfect 10. Ty Dillinger. The crowd went nuts chanting at Dillinger. I think they chanted "You're a wanker" at him and all this other stuff.
Chant of the night, by the way.
Yeah.
You're a wanker. 10 out of 10.
Yep. 10 out of 10. So Sami Zayn wins as you'd expect, but it was pretty competitive, though.
Which I thought was interesting, because I wasn't expecting this to be as long as it was, and Ty Dillinger and Sami Zayn have a pretty gosh darn good match. Ty works the arm, Sami has his comeback moments, and ends up getting him with the exploder suplex into the corner, followed up by the haluva kick, and that's all she wrote, but pretty solid match all the way around, I think.
Yeah, I enjoy it too. And, I love the, constant, paying attention to the shoulder, really keying in on that. I think that makes a lot of sense here. They're telling the story. It's the honest truth, but at the same time, they're using it as a part of this match and psychology, and they're giving you a reason why Sami Zayn doesn't look like Sami Zayn at times. But of course, at the end, we get more of him being who he really is. So I think it's good. I think overall I enjoyed it, and not a bad, comeback match here. So, but that pretty much is what NXT is. And Sean, I guess we probably should just briefly. I think the end here with Sami Zayn's speech makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of enjoyed that.
It was the end of the tour and everything too, so it kind of.
So kind of went out on a high note, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's meant to do, and I think they got that.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, let's go back to what I was going to try to skip ahead and do now. Let's go ahead and talk Ring of Honor. We've got some great stuff to talk about. Final Battle, and of course, Ring of Honor TV will follow back to back. And Paul is going to lead us down that road.
To be fair, because of the way they do ROH TV, Paul is the only one that got to watch that. Paul and I watched the Final Battle, though.
Yeah, I watched Ring of Honor TV, too, so, I mean, it's good stuff.
Oh, you did? See, I asked you. You said, well, I didn't get to because of you being sick. And then,
No, I missed Final Battle, but we'll talk about that.
All right.
All right, we'll be right back.
Dang it. Hold on. All right.
So, Final Battle is taking place in the 2300 Arena, which is the former ECW Arena out in Philly. The pre-show match has Cheeseburger beating Brutal Bob Evans in about 5 minutes. Kind of meh. So we won't talk about it.
Cheeseburger won, right?
Oh, yes, of course he did.
We're
going to talk about Cheeseburger plenty for ROH TV, Gary. Trust me.
Yeah, I know.
Kevin Kelly and Mr. Wrestling 3, who is Steve Corino under a hood, are the commentary team.
This is great, like the whole time. Mr. Wrestling 3, what do you think about that?
Mr. Wrestling 3 also wanted to be known that Steve Corino gave him permission to use all of Steve Corino's gimmicks for the commentary table. So, they're not the same person or anything.
And then when First Nana was out there, it was even better. So.
Yes. So they opened with the number one contenders match for their ROH Tag Team titles, All Night Express, Briscoes, and the Young Bucks. Super fast-paced opener, as you would expect. Pretty solid all the way around. The All Night Express come away with the surprising win. The crowd wasn't pleased, but that's what they get.
Super kick! Yeah, that's about half of the match right there. No, this was freaking awesome. I really enjoyed it. It's what you want at the opener. Just them going at it. You get your Meltzer driver, your everything else. I mean, I forgot what the one night stand is what they call that finish. Yeah, that's really cool. I was surprised too. I thought it'd be the Young Bucks, or I thought it'd be Anybody but All Night Express, and they gave you the one I think a lot of people weren't thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled about it. I guess everybody else isn't really on board with those guys, but I am. I enjoy them. Of course, Kenny King is a guy that I'm excited about being a part of Ring of Honor too. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean he looks like he's much more enthused about being there than he was doing nothing in TNA. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, you give a guy a direction, and suddenly, they're going to give you everything they got.
Right.
I mean, the All Night Express have a tough task here. They got to read the build themselves. The Briscoes and the Young Bucks are probably two of the most over. I mean, the Briscoes are the tag team of Ring of Honor, and the Young Bucks are as over as they've ever been right now. So those are two tough acts to be in the ring with in ROH, and I think ANX more than held their own. But yeah, the crowd wasn't for it. Personally, I mean, somebody's got a job to somebody next, so might as well be these guys. Next up's Dalton Castle and Silas Young. I enjoyed this match much better than their last one. I think the crowd was much more into Dalton Castle, as they should be. I mean, Dalton works this area a lot with both Chikara and Ring of Honor. So, the boys end up coming back to Dalton at the end after Silas beats him. And, yeah, I mean, everything's happy for Dalton, even though he takes the loss here.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes it feel like the whole feud was sort of for nothing if he loses and still gets the boys back. But other than that, I enjoyed the match. These two work really well with each other. I gotta say, the boys look, the Backstreet Boys called they want their look back. But, other than that, I mean, it was highly enjoyable. They had some drama in it and everything. And that's what you need in this kind of match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great that Dalton's got his boys back. I think the gimmick's great by itself. Just Dalton Castle, I mean, he's just superb. I really enjoy watching him on a weekly basis or whenever they put him on. But with his boys back, I think it gives him that dynamic that, it's just an enhancer that really kind of fulfills the entire gimmick. He'll be fine without him, but it's nice to see him back.
Yeah, I mean, I think this feud was more for the boys' purpose than it was for either of these guys, to be honest with you, because, the boys can take this and, suddenly they can, tag wrestle or something, who knows? We'll see what comes out of this, but I'm all for Silas Young going over. I really dig the guy's work, so hopefully we get some more good stuff in store for him. We followed that up with Michael Elgin and Moose, who just decide to go out there and, beat the living tar out of each other for about 12 minutes. Moose's dropkick, I'd put it right up there with Okada's. It may not be as pretty, but that dude gets 12 feet into the air, it feels like sometimes. He's insane athlete. Elgin ends up going over here because he's getting the match with Lethal at 10, or Wrestle Kingdom 10. But I would say Moose more than held his own here.
Oh, he definitely does. That's the whole point. It's like a really even contest. Moose has his moments. He didn't miss the big, jump onto the ropes and to the outside move. He completely just botches that. But
well, the rope rolled under his foot. That happens.
Yes, that does happen. And, it's just amazing to me sometimes how he's come leaps and bounds in the little time that he's been there and how good he is. And it's still amazing to me that, WWE let him get re-signed. I can't imagine, I couldn't believe that they weren't coming for him hard because of all the connections and everything with football and all that. But just, to be in there with a guy like Michael Elgin, and then Michael Elgin obviously played to his strengths, him getting to the power game to a big guy. That spot where he has to stop and they make it look like Moose is stopping him from doing the Elgin bomb, and he's just holding him there, and then he just lifts him up anyway and does it. It's like, man, this is just incredible. Crazy stuff he can do.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing, and Moose is one of those guys I look at and say, okay, he is definitely the perfect specimen for WB. They love these guys. They love athletes like this, former NFL player. But it's just super cool to see a guy like this progress on a team like Ring of Honor, if you want to call it that way. A group of guys, who work hard. It's an indie promotion, and to me, he's doing just fine, and he's doing a good job of it. So I'm proud to see that. He doesn't need a performance center to learn. He doesn't need anything like that. He just needs a group of guys that'll help him along, and I think they're all helping him along pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the WWE, I'm sure you want the guy, but why pay for something that Ring of Honor is already handling a pretty good job of? And, bring him in eventually, sure, because I'm sure he's on their short list of guys that they want in that company, something fierce in the future, but right now, I mean, I think he's learning all the right stuff. So stay the course, Moose. Don't drop the ball. Hopefully, Ring of Honor decides to do something though, because he's kind of stalling out here. But we'll see what next year brings for him. Next up, Kyle O'Reilly goes one-on-one with Adam Cole, Bebe, who is insanely over. The crowd loves this guy, and these two go out there and put on one heck of a match. Kyle O'Reilly, they attack each other before the bell rings. They fight all over the outside. They're slamming each other everywhere. Just insanely well-worked match here, which Cole eventually goes over, thankfully. And, I mean, I don't have enough good things to say about this match.
God, this was good. I mean, O'Reilly does this thing where he's working on the arm, and they just go at each other back and forth, and you think Cole has it, and O'Reilly gets back at him, and they just it tells the story of their relationship, their history, all in the match too. It's just, man, terrific contest. One of the matches you must see out of this event.
This is definitely one of the ones that I've got to go check out. Like I said, I missed the show, but I definitely want to watch this match. You guys have talked it up, and I mean, I'm a big Kyle O'Reilly guy. I really enjoy his work, and of course, Adam Cole's great himself. So I mean, it's kind of hard not to go and go see that match.
Yeah, do yourself a favor, Gary. Watch this one. Sadly, it goes downhill a little bit here because we got the six-man tag match is up next. Matt Sydal, ACH, and Alex Shelley against Daniels Kazarian and Chris Sabin. The faces do go over here, but ACH was off his game. He blew a couple spots. The crowd wasn't seemingly as into this because it sort of dies off because this match goes on way too long. And it's sort of like there's a lot of dull spots for a match that you wouldn't expect there to be a lot of dull spots in.
Yeah, I agree with you. This felt like it should have gone maybe 7 minutes or so, and it just went on way longer than that. I mean, you have the talent there to have a longer match if you want to, but it's just... And then some of the spots were bots too. The ACH one was the worst of them, where he does the whole running around the ring, the wraparound, and then tries to do the Hurricane Rana. It just completely and utterly misses him. And, it's cool. The faces get the win, but it's just, it's just kind of there.
It's a shame it turned out that way. It really is because, I think, like you said, the talent in the ring is pretty darn good. So it's some of those days that, kind of matches happen, let's be honest. But, it is a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, upside here is... nothing's really settled. Shelley and Sabin didn't even touch each other. So there's still a story to be told here. Hopefully they can come back with a stronger effort next time around. We get into our title matches next up, though. ROH TV titles up first as Roderick Strong defends against Bobby Fish. Strong ends up retaining here. They hit each other pretty gosh darn hard for about 15 minutes. Pretty wicked top rope Falcon Arrow from Bobby Fish. Sadly wasn't enough though, as he eats the sick kick into the stronghold. What would you think, Sean?
Yeah, this was better than I thought it was going to be. Bobby Fish was really intense in his promo that they showed before the match, and he kind of brought that out in the match itself. And I mean, you kind of knew Roderick Strong was going to win, but they really at points made you think Fish was going to, and that's the best part. When even though you know who's going to win, they still made you believe it could happen the other way, and the crowd was really hot for this dude.
I should mention the finish here. They did a take on the Brock and Taker finish. Strong was in the knee bar that Fish likes to use, and he taps. Fish gets up to celebrate, and that's what leads to the sick kick and the stronghold. So there is that in play here, which I don't think the crowd was a giant fan of, but they went with it.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting that they kind of took that from what WB was trying to do, and I don't blame him, but it's just kind of interesting. I don't know. I just one of those things that was kind of surprised they took a page out of that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, clearly it still leaves the door open, but I mean, there's a lot of people Strong could drop this belt to right now, so we'll see what happens. But Veda Scott comes out next with Cedric Alexander. Her legal battle with ROH is over. They got a settlement they're happy with, and we're going to see a lot more of these two in 2016. Apparently, the crowd could care less though, so we'll just move right along here. The tag titles are up for grabs next as the Kingdom defends against War Machine. This lasts 4 minutes. Taven goes up top to do a assisted spike pile driver to Raymond Rowe on the outside, but when he lands, he blows out his knee pretty bad because he's limping around for the next couple minutes while they try to finish the match. Eventually, Bennett gets into the ring, eats a fallout, and that's all she wrote. War Machine Union Tag Champs.
Have they officially said if he tore or something, or?
I haven't heard anything official yet, but he very clearly probably tore or blew or bad stuff happened. Something in his knee is not where it should be.
It was short. It was what you expect out of a War Machine match, but you guys, freaking sucks for him.
It does, and you hate when this stuff happens because these guys have a plan in motion. You never know where they were going to go with this, and if that hindered a future, possibility of maybe something bigger, that's a sad moment. So hopefully, it gets better, but it's just a bummer.
Yeah, Taven ends up getting helped out of the ring and all that. The crowd give him a round of applause and a Taven chant, which might be the first Matt Taven chant I've ever heard in my lifetime. But still, it's cool that he tried to, he at least finished the match. BJ Whitmer comes out to try to hop on commentary. He's not supposed to be here, though. As Nigel said, you're not, he barred him from the ring, so they end up escorting him out. Because Mr. Wrestling 3 left, and he's like, you guys are dumb. It's Steve Corino under there. And we're all like, no, it's not. It's Mr. Wrestling 3, you silly goof. So that leaves Kevin Kelly to do commentary with Nigel McGuinness and Jerry Lynn, which turns out to be extremely dull because neither of them are terrific at this part. Fortunately, though, the match that they're calling the ROH World Title match, Jay Lethal and AJ Styles.
I couldn't even recognize that was Jerry Lynn. It was just like, who's this guy again?
It's weird not to see him with long hair. I'll say that much. AJ Styles and Jay Lethal, though, put on one hell of a show. This is a match of the year candidate in my book. AJ Styles did everything in his power to make Jay Lethal look amazing. Jay Lethal did everything in his power to make AJ look credible and make himself look amazing. And it totally worked. AJ and Jay both have a history with Jerry Lynn, as we talked about on our last episode for the last episode of ROH TV. Jay Lethal ends up hitting the Storm Cradle Power Driver, which was Jerry Lynn's finisher on AJ before he hits a second lethal injection to finally put AJ away. But I can't do this match justice with words. You have to go watch this. This was insanely good and worth every penny if you bought Final Battle.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love even though, everybody was saying AJ's back, they did a whole deal about working on his back. And, AJ got in the Cap Killer and all that stuff. Just, man, and another one of these where there was so many moments you thought, AJ might win, even though you knew he wasn't, because of they're obviously going to want to make that for the ROH title between Elgin and Jay Lethal. But it's just, man, terrific stuff.
Yeah, I mean, no. The one thing also is with Jay Lethal winning, of course he stays the world champion, and that leaves AJ, moving on and doing his thing, continuous with New Japan. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that was the right decision? I just gotta know.
I mean, I still think Elgin wins the belt in Japan is a thing that they're planning on. Which really sucks because I don't think I'm ready for Lethal's title reign to be over yet. But I think they made the right decision. Lethal is the guy to go with right now. He's their most over heel. He can work with anybody. He's a terrific mic guy. I mean, he's the total package that ROH wants right now. So
Yeah, plus AJ is going for the IC title against Nakamura. Like, what is him being the ROH champion there going to do?
Mm-hmm.
At this current time, I would agree with that. I think maybe an AJ title reign wouldn't be terrible for ROH, even if it's only short term. Just because he's so big right now, having a guy like that, like say you got a big show or a big tour coming up for ROH that they want to do some numbers with, AJ as the champ could help out.
True.
But that's your final battle. We gonna rate this guy or?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tom.
8.5 is where I'm at, I think.
That's where I was going to, an 8.5. There's nothing bad on the show. I mean, and the stuff that you probably don't care about was kept on the shorter side, except for that 6-man. There's some, the opener's really good. The O'Reilly and Cole match you really need to go see, and you need to go see the main event as well. And there's some other stuff in there that are nice little gems too. Might be perhaps the best pay-per-view that ROH just put on this year.
I would agree with that statement by far.
Yeah, I definitely need to watch it myself. It's just one of those, where I just sadly missed it, but I definitely do plan on checking it out. And, just listen to you guys talk about it is very exciting. So, I sadly can't give a rating, but I will say this. I'm looking forward to watching the show. So, but, Paul, I mean, we're not done with Ring of Honor. We also have a little TV show to talk about.
Absolutely. We have ROH's TV show that follows it up here. This was pre-taped, obviously, because they're in Tennessee. Although they did tape stuff for more TV after the next night after Final Battle at the 2300 Arena. So they opened this show with Will Ferraro taking on Caprice Coleman. You have Prince Nana and Kevin Kelly on commentary. Caprice cuts a pre-match promo saying that he sees a lot of people getting mail around here, but his are simply better and will always have more in them. So that's a call out because Will Ferraro's also got an envelope. And as soon as that bell rings, they're hitting each other in the face pretty hard. Nana, is totally egging him on the whole time, wanting them to just keep getting more violent. And they eventually get chairs in the ring. They run at each other. They clash the chairs together. A bunch of refs come out. The referee in the ring throws the match out. It's no contest. And I'm just really intrigued by this envelope thing.
Yeah, me too. And that's the whole thing. I mean, it's something that's kind of interesting at the same time as getting annoying because I want to know now.
Right.
So, I mean, it keeps you watching. It keeps you, really motivated to keep following the storyline. But, man, it was just like you just want to know why these guys are doing what they're doing, especially since they know what's in the envelope, but you don't. So, it's really curious.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a really good job with this feud, so hopefully this sticks around for a while. I'm sure this is going to lead to a reformation of the embassy at some point, but who knows? We cut backstage. Jay Lethal is there with Taylor Hendricks and Truth Martini. Martini's got a Santa hat and a big beard on. It's pretty glorious. There are presents there. The main event for tonight is a 5-on-5 Christmas surprise tag team match, where each team is captained by one of the champions. So Lethal is a captain and Roderick Strong is a captain. And you're pulling your team members out of these presents. So Lethal wants to pick the big one because he thinks Moose's name is in there. So he picks it up, he opens it, he hands the envelope over, and he's so sure he's already chanting Moose. And Taylor Hendricks just looks at him with this really dour face and hands him the envelope. And it's Cheeseburger. And Jay Lethal has the best freak out I've ever seen on television. And they end the segment with a close-up of Truth Martini. It's just like, Cheeseburger! It might be the best segment I've ever seen on Ring of Honor television in my life.
Oh man, it is great. It's one of those things that I would have pulled and put on our intro, but of course we had a Christmas thing going. But man, I love that too, Paul. It was brilliant, and that freak out by Lethal was just, it was awesome. Nigel.
Oh, Mike, it was. If you watch anything from this TV show, you gotta watch this 2-minute segment. It is solid gold.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's so worth your time, Sean. It's so worth your time. We go to the next match. It's the House of Truth, Donovan Dijak, and he's teaming up with a new guy, the Outlaw Ken Phoenix, who shared a cigarette with Truth Martini earlier, and so Truth decided to give him a tryout to be in the House of Truth. They're up against the All Night Express. I'll say this, Ken Phoenix is really underwhelming. Dijak does his thing. Still, it's to no avail as the All Night Express end up getting the victory here. And at the end, Truth opts to give the fans the choice about whether Phoenix is in or out of the House of Truth. They aren't hot on him. He gives them the thumb down. Dijak murders him. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's one of those where you really wonder what they were planning on doing here. Because at first, I'll be honest with you, I thought, okay, we could see a new member. But once you kind of got that, whole thing with the crowd and who, that you're talking about, yeah, you figured out, oh, wait a minute, he is screwed. And he was. And, but it's still fun to, I guess, to see him being toyed with.
Absolutely. And probably the most interesting thing in this whole 6-minute affair, as Dijak is walking out with, Truth celebrating and walking up the ramp, Prince Nana gives him one of the envelopes. What's happening here? I need to know, Gary. I need to know now.
I know. I'm like, come on. Do we have any inside information? Come on, please.
ACH show some merch. ROH has a coloring book, guys. That's a thing. Did you know that was a thing?
No.
Wow. I didn't either. And, as he's selling it, I mean, of course, I love his T-shirt. Because, of course, we're from Texas, so right. I love the T-shirt. But the coloring book alone, I thought that was kind of neat. I thought, man, I could actually see myself getting that, just to color all these guys would be fun. My daughter loves to color, so at least be something I'd be entertained doing, too. So.
Right on. Yeah.
So,
go for it.
I was just going to say this, and talking about coloring books briefly, my wife mentioned the other day that she would like to get an adult coloring book for, we were taking a trip for Christmas. And I was very concerned. I said, I don't know, XXX stores sell that. And she was very offended. Apparently there is adult coloring books that are not like that. Apparently they're intelligent things, apparently. So I'm sorry. Mine was somewhere else. But anyway, go ahead, Paul.
Oh, boy, Gary.
They do indeed make adult coloring books. They're more in depth. They're quite cool. We've sold them at the store before.
Okay, see, I was picturing her coloring things that were very detailed, but not that.
I like where you're at, Gary. If it's in the show so far.
This is also coming from, Gary, he, there used to be a time where he had to wait for his wife to get off work, so Gary would coloring books sometimes.
I would. Yeah. It's a beautiful SpongeBob book. I've colored it.
So that's where his daughter gets it from. That's just totally Gary. He does that too.
Yeah. So what were you going to say, Paul, until I really interrupted you?
I was just going to say, I was still surprised that ROH had a coloring book. That's a thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to seeing the WWE ones all over the stores, but ROH one, that's pretty cool.
Anyways, Kevin Kelly brings out Steve Corino. Corino still wants to beat up BJ Whitmer real bad. Real bad. And whether that turns out to be a thing or not, we'll never know, because obviously Corino's healing from neck surgery. So hopefully it's a thing at some point, but who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you really want, because we never got that, and it's something that's just hanging over our heads because that never was paid off.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get there at some point, and it doesn't lead to a year of Whitmer still hopping on commentary, calling Corino stupid or something.
Oh.
Your main event's up next, though, with the 5-on-5 tag match. Team Strong is Roderick Strong, Cedric Alexander, Mark Briscoe, Moose, and Matt Jackson against Jay Lethal, Cheeseburger, Adam Page, Cliff Compton, who was Domino from the Deuce and Domino tag team, and Jay Briscoe. This is actually a really, really fun match. Everybody gets in their spots. Cheeseburger pretty much has 2 spots where he takes on the entire team by himself and somehow manages to survive and even overcome the 5-on-1 disadvantage. It's as magical as it sounds, folks. Sadly, it was not enough. Adam Page eats a couple moves from Roderick Strong, followed up by the Froggy Elbow to Team Strong to get the victory. But this is a really fun little match. If you end up watching the show for that segment I mentioned earlier, this is totally on your watch list as well. It's quite fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And, once again, Cheeseburger's involved. And if you're a Cheeseburger fan, you were thrilled. If you're not, you were like, oh, really? So, but, overall, this was great. It wasn't, spectacular or anything, but it was entertaining for the most part. And so I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was a great way to kind of end everything. So,
ROH is doing the best matches of 2015 next week, so nothing new for us there.
I guess everybody's doing it.
So next week's show, lots of fill-in.
Yeah, it'll be raw, and that's it.
So we will be coming up with fun stuff to talk about.
Next week we got the Wrestle Kingdom 10 preview, so never mind.
We do have that. We'll tell you. We have something else special next for you guys, and it involves you guys getting to vote. So you stick around for that.
Yes.
We'll talk about that.
We also have a book review. First time we're reviewing a book.
So, but we'll plug all that at the end of the show. We still have something special to do, but that concludes.
We are cool. We find things when everybody else was taking breaks and stuff. We find things to put in here.
We are just like Darren Young, no days off. So, let's go ahead and get into something special that we'd like to talk about. And sadly, we don't really have any intro music. Me and Sean didn't work that out. That's my bad. I usually try to find something fun. And instead of us singing Jingle Bells or something like that, we're just going to go straight into this.
Jingle Bells.
No, it's okay. Although it would be fun.
So are we doing that at the end?
No, that's the part where, where I think we'll avoid that. I think we want people to,
have ears.
Yeah, exactly. we could sing off air. I think that'd be preferred. But here's what we got to do. We've got to go ahead and give Santa Claus our wrestling wish list because we've got to make it happen. That way he can fulfill these, wrestling needs. These aren't just wishes; these are needs at times. And so, we want to give you guys our thoughts on what we want for each promotion to do. So each of us have a shot at getting a wish, and we'll see, next Christmas if we got our wish. Which, depending on what we ask for, it may be plausible, and it may be very not real. So let's go ahead and get into this, guys. We are going to do our Christmas wish list, and we are going to start with WWE. So we are going to go around the horn and kind of find out what our wishes are for WWE this year. Paul, we'll start with you. What's your wish for WWE this year?
I'm curious if you guys actually went back and listened to last year's show and saw what your wish list was from last year to this year.
We didn't. We should have.
Man, if this wasn't where we were working all the time.
Right.
You know what we'll do? I'll try to do it for next week's show, and then we can right at the top confirm whether a lot of them are the same or not.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I did it for you guys now because I only did it for me, and now I feel selfish.
Oh, did you get any of yours?
I did not. Last year I wanted WWE to book better mid-card feuds, and I wanted them to fix SmackDown or get rid of it. Neither of which has happened, really.
Oh, man.
We'll have to see if that January 7th date fixes that or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave SmackDown alone, but certainly more mid-card feuds would be better. They've had more, I guess. Maybe that's what I should take away from it, is that they've done more, but they haven't been good. It's 1 in a million, really. So, keep that being a thing. Also, I'd like more network stuff. Stuff like Breaking Grounds really got me wanting them to do more original content that can, maybe not that same style, but just more original content that I feel like we could all get a handle on, something that would work. Because Breaking Ground has been something special.
And that bothers me. Stone Cold Podcast is not an original show. And it won. Come on, people. Come on.
Yeah. It was totally Breaking Ground that should win.
Yeah. Or at least, hey, Swerve got a second season now, which I forgot to tell Gary. That has been officially stated. So, after all the crap that all the wrestlers kept talking, they apparently got it for a second season. So.
Oh.
But, well, I already said it, but you know what mine's going to be. Be more consistent. Please stop doing one thing one week and the next week it's completely different. Like, be consistent with your show. Can you not have a straight line from A to B with almost anything? Like, you establish Roman Reigns one way, the next week he's back to being that guy nobody likes. You come back from, you start doing the stuff with the divas. You don't know what you're doing with this person, with that person, whether they're face or heel, whether they're what program they're in. I mean, some of these people don't even have directions at all. Just, you got to be consistent. If you're constantly the 50-50 booking, all this other stuff, that's not being consistent. I mean, you're being consistent with that you're doing it, but it's not helping anybody. So if nobody's winning or losing, other than, I guess, the Wyatt family right now, like, where does it go for the people? Like, what do people have any interest in? And that's the thing. Like, if you're at least consistent, people will know that they can expect that they can get behind that. But if you're never that way, then nobody can get behind it at all.
My wish may be the one that doesn't come true at all. And it is probably going to fall on deaf ears, but I'm going to say it anyway. And it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, but I just want WWE to realize scripting out everything for these guys, as much as they want them to be what they want them to be, sometimes they got to let these guys be themselves. And so I think bullet points is a good system. I wish they'd go back to that. I mean, some of the biggest superstars that they talk about on a regular basis did bullet points, and we're not completely scripted word for word. So why don't we go back to what success was? And I think that's the point that would be good for Roman Reigns. That'd be a point that would be good for any of these guys, even Sheamus, and just a number of these guys. I feel like if they went back to bullet points and they let them put their own spin to the things that WWE wanted put across, I think it would work a lot better. It'd be a lot more fluid, and it'd be a lot more realistic, if you ask me personally. So that's kind of what I think and I wish, but I really feel like that's not going to be something that's going to change. So let's move on to NXT and what we're wishing for NXT. So Sean, give me your NXT wish.
NXT is kind of hard because they do so many things right. Shoot.
I'll give you mine real quick. Just you can kind of let you think for a second here. Mine is something like you said, Sean. It is very hard to choose, and it is something that let's be honest. We all look at NXT and say, "Oh, it's a product that's pretty solid," but there are some things that you could probably change. One of the things for me would be, I think I would like to see more main roster guys just appear here and there. I'm not talking a lot of them. I'm talking about, what we saw with Cesaro. I kind of thought it was neat to have a guy from the main roster come down to NXT and work with a guy in a feud and to see how they do against some of these main roster guys. And guys like even Rusev, who's been in NXT, could come back and do something. Or even people that have not been a part of NXT or just have had a very, very short stint. I would like to see him come back, maybe have a feud, get a chance to see some of these guys get over against bigger guys, and just see what they can do. I think it would add NXT, if you could say, because NXT's already graded alone. But that's just something that I would do. But do you have something, Sean?
I would say maybe have some kind of more interesting mid-card feuds, because some of them, sometimes they'll have some, sometimes they won't. It'll just be all about the main event or the tag teams or it feels like sometimes the mid-card singles feuds is like one guy, and then you have a lot of, and I understand why they have to do it. A lot of these squashes and all that stuff because they don't have a lot of time. So maybe just developing better feuds for some of these guys, you know.
Mine is, as much as I love all the big indie names that they keep signing, some of NXT's best acts have been their homegrown ones. When you know, Enzo and Big Cass, Bailey, you know, all these other people, you know, Seth Rollins, for example, too. I understand it may not be as feasible now that NXT has sort of grown up into this super indie brand, but some more investing into their homegrown acts to make them into those next big things that make them stand out is what I would really like to see them trying to focus on next year.
You know, I would agree with that. But Tommaso Ciampa, though, is my guy, so it kind of goes against it a little bit. But yeah, I definitely see what you mean. The homegrown talent, it just seems to be special. And it's really nice to see them get over and do a great job. So that's, you know, it's really cool. Moving on, though, we got to move on, and let's do Ring of Honor next. Now, you know, Paul, I mean, what do you think about Ring of Honor? What would be your first wish be for them?
This was hard. I mean, Ring of Honor could do a couple things better. And for me, I think what works best for them and what I would really like to see is just them to keep making these talent exchange deals. You know, that PAWG and New Japan in the books now. Maybe you go over to Europe and you make a deal with Westside Extreme Wrestling or something like that. So, you know, something else really cool like that, just to sort of keep them feeling like they have a fresher areas to pull from would be really, really neat.
I think they need to. They don't, you know, they actually do pretty well with their stories, but I think I'd kind of like to see them do a little bit more like a New Japan side of stories where it's not so much flash of substance, a little bit more about the titles. And you know, they did it great with Jay Lethal, but until they had Jay Lethal, I felt like they didn't have that for everybody. Sometimes they try to get a little bit too cute with some of the stuff they do, like the lawsuit storylines, stuff like that. Just I think just kind of, you're already a wrestling based company, just keep it that way with your stories too. I think that works better for you than necessarily trying to be. I think they try to do the sports entertainment stuff, and it doesn't really work for them so much. You know, you don't need to be a TNA light either.
Yeah, it's something I'm going to wish for, as you know, this pertains to not really what the in-ring talent is, but it does pertain to something that's important to the show, and that is the announce team. And that is, I wish Nigel would retire from announcing.
Man, I completely agree with you, Gary. Please do.
It would just make things so much better. And you know, when I say that, it's just not just about him retiring. It's about when you're not going to have Carino on with Kevin Kelly, you need to find another talented announcer out there, somebody that you really feel like fits that mold, someone who does a great job, who could find some chemistry. You see NXT and those guys, and you could kind of, you know, different episodes of NXT, you get to hear different voices, kind of get a chance to see who's doing well and who's not, and just really get, you know, to see that there are other people out there who could do this job very well. I'll even recommend one for Ring of Honor. Go ahead and go out and get Harry Broadhurst. How about that? Go check him out, you know.
Solid signing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, way better than what Nigel could give us. Let's just be honest. So we'll have to find out, you know, what's going to happen with that. But I doubt Nigel's going to give that up, which saddens me. But that's my wish, at least. So, well, let's move on to TNA. So, Sean, what's your wish for TNA?
Fix everything. No, just,
That's what I wrote. Just be better.
Yeah, just you stop being WWE. Please stop doing it. You cannot do what WWE does. In fact, it makes you look so bad. Just stop doing it. Just focus on your guys. Try to come up with some, you know, interesting storylines, whatever, but You don't need to. So many times they've tried to like outright copy. Not that WWE hasn't done it, because WWE has it too. But you expect that from them. You need to come up with your own thing. What is TNA? Start focusing on the things that have made TNA before. Like the X Division, like the Knockouts. Put them in a higher platform. The thing they come up with, the option C, that's great if your X Division means something. You need to do that, because if you're not having something that's unique to your show, there's no reason for people to watch it.
Reestablishing your identity is pretty much, I guess, what Just Be Better would equate to. But I'll go from a personal standpoint here and say you make EC3 the biggest star you can. My close personal friend, of course. He's an amazing talent, one that you would not want to get away. So I would focus on making him your everything right now, and that starts with him being a world champion once again.
I like your idea, and I totally agree. This guy is someone that was not anything in WWE, comes to TNA, and they work with him, they push him, and this guy has come to be one of the best young talents they have on the roster. EC3 is the man. They've got to keep him on that totem pole. They cannot let him slide. He's too important to that company. And it kind of leads into my wish, and I kind of feel like I'm kind of maybe stepping on you guys' toes, and I think we're all kind of in the same mold here, though. I'll go in this aspect. Paul just talked about a star, a guy that's kind of established himself. I think they need to establish new young stars. Get some of the guys off the indies that you really feel like that they could do something for your group. Don't get so focused on signing veterans. Don't get so focused on signing the guys that have been there, done that. Build your talent. You saw what you did with the EC3. Follow that formula. Get some guys with lots of potential. If you did it once, it's hard for me to believe you couldn't do it again. And if you get more people in the same formula that you did with EC3, you're going to be okay. But you can't keep reliving off old fumes of old history and other promotions. You've got to do something new. So that's just my personal take on it. That means that we only have one more promotion left. And so, Paul, New Japan, what is your wish for them?
This might be kind of stretching it and maybe unrealistic now that I think New Japan is sort of trying to claw its way to a more international promotion, but find more Japanese talent. That's one of the reasons I like to watch Japanese wrestling, is see what these guys are doing over there. And I feel like half of New Japan's roster are Gaijins now, and I would really they have Yohei and they have Sho Tanaka. Yeah. But you're getting ready to send them out. Let's get some more homegrown Japanese talent in there instead of all these Gaijins. As much as I love them, just more Japanese guys.
I totally agree with you there. I'm also going to say that they definitely, you need to pick one of the two, either your tag division or your juniors, and make them a little bit more important. I mean, look, you have a great singles, main event scene, and, your guys are capable of having really good matches, and that's fine, but it's okay, we have Guns and Gallows had the titles for so long, and yeah, they've had some good matches, but it's the same people. You gotta I think you just dissolve the junior tag division and just have them all be in the tag division, and it just make it a fun thing. Put different guys and combinations in there with each other. Either that or take the juniors and really focus on them. Give one guy the belt, whether it's you're going to keep, you finally give it to Kushida and let him be the ace of that division, or you let Kenny Omega have it still, even though he doesn't want to be in that division very much longer. I just think you've got to start focusing on some of your outside of the main event scene divisions, because it kind of leaves you a little hollow in certain places.
You know what? My wish for New Japan may not be something that helps everybody but it's a wish that I feel like will build New Japan to a new level just by one person, and that is Naito as world champion. I think if you build him up, the big heel, you make him just all powerful, and you make him the guy, I love it, and I think that he could be amazing. I mean,
That's
come on,
not
we're
a
talking
total
about
stretch either.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, come on.
I think with the way they're positioned themselves at Wrestle Kingdom 10, it's a very strong possibility that could be your, your Dominion or your Destruction main event.
Yeah.
And I hope you're right. I really, really hope you're right. I still stand to this day. He is New Japan's Chris Jericho. I really think that. He's just such a great talent, and I don't know. Everything about the guy makes me excited about seeing what he can do in the future. So, but then, that's just a wish. We'll see if it happens, and I'm excited that there is a potential there. Let's just say that. So. Well, everybody, that is our Christmas wish list for this next coming up year in 2016. So we hope that a lot of our wishes come true, and if not all of the wishes coming true, because that means that wrestling has gotten a lot better. Not that we're smart, but some of the things we've said, we've heard other people say, but it's just common knowledge. And so I'm excited about seeing what's going to happen this next year, and of course, we'll have to talk more about that next week. But here we go, guys. We have one last thing left to do, and that is crown a superstar of the week. So why don't we do that?
Superstar of the week.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and do this thing. Paul, who do you got?
All right, number 5, I got Sami Zayn for that great return match he had on NXT yesterday. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole take over my 3 and 4 spot for that amazing match they had on Final Battle. And, of course, number 2 and 1 go to AJ Styles and Jay Lethal, with Lethal being the number 1 guy, retaining his title. Absolutely stellar match that you should totally go watch.
I'm going to kind of have a similar sort of list here. I've got 5. I had Seth Rollins for getting that Superstar of the Year. Number 4, All Night Express. Forgetting the number 1 contenders. I had 5, Michael Elgin. Number 4, All Night Express. Number 3 is Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly for that terrific match. Number 2, AJ Styles for putting a performance even though he didn't win. Number 1, Jay Lethal defended his belt and a terrific match. Got to give it to him.
My number 5 was Sami Zayn. Just excited to see him back. Hope he, can build on this and do better things in the future. Number 4 for me is the All Night Express. I mean, I don't know what it is about these guys. I just enjoy them. Maybe it's the Kenny King thing, but I just think it's great. Number 3 for me is Jordan and Gable. Wow. I mean, what a fun match to watch in NXT, and they were able to get the victor. Be the victors, so I'm very happy about that. Number 2 for me is Roderick Strong. That's right, winning the TV championship with ROH. He's retaining it actually, but still, he kept it, and very proud for him. And Jay Lethal as well, retaining his championship, which is the World Heavyweight Championship, against AJ Styles. That is no easy feat, so he's definitely got to be the Superstar of the Week. So congrats to him. He is our Superstar of the Week. And so, of course, once again, another great week, to kind of list a few guys that, did great. And I'm glad it wasn't weak, because some of these past weeks we've had a look and say, oh, geez, pulling straws here. But this week wasn't one of them. We had a lot of great people to choose from, so. Well, guys, this pretty much wraps up our show. I just want to let everybody know, next week we are going to have a fun show. Yeah, sure. Ring of Honor is not going to be around. They're going to do some highlights from this past year. So is TNA Impact, and so is NXT. So what we are going to have in place of it is going to be a lot of fun. Of course, we're going to cover Raw, because we'll have a Raw, but we are also going to cover some fun things like Wrestle Kingdom 10. That's right. We are going to talk about that, get involved, and kind of, get our head on straight on what we think about that. And, of course, we are also going to talk about what we think of some of these votes that you guys are going to hopefully pitch in and figure out who is the Superstar of the Year, match of the year, and a few other categories that we're going to have for you guys. I mean, we're just going to kind of do our own year-end awards this coming up week. So we want you guys to vote. Please go check the Facebook page out, and Sean will probably maybe even put a link on the Twitter. That way you guys can go check that out and vote. We want to have your votes right there. We're going to list what you think on this podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Plus some other things we're going to do will be special. We'll have some news, of course, from this past week. Even if it's not a whole lot, we'll still have some news like we did this week. So, well, Sean, anything else?
Also be out. Well, I don't know how far you guys gotten on into it, or if you've gotten far at all, but I'll be at least. Hopefully it's a group thing, but at least I'll be reviewing the Chris Charlton, who's from Japanese Audio Wrestling, over on the RAW. He wrote an English New Japan history book called Lion's Pride. You can go out on Amazon or wherever, it's from Japan, so I don't know exactly if it's in Barnes & Noble or something like that, but you can go on Amazon and get it. And we'll be reviewing that. It's the first ever book that's the history about New Japan in English, and it's so far I've read it and I've really enjoyed it. I've got a little bit of it left to go. Hopefully you guys can read some of it so we can all have an opinion somewhat on it, and that'll be our first ever review of a book that we'll get to do on the podcast. So.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, it's going to be a great episode next week. Trust me, people, we are not going to lead you astray. You don't want to miss that episode. It's going to be tons of fun. And plus, like I said before, you get a chance to be a part of it. So we want you to be as much a part of it as you can be. And Sean, we probably, will have a date. I'd hate to tell everybody we're going to have a certain day we're going to do the podcast. We're definitely not going to do it on New Year's Eve. That's just silly.
Yeah, we're not going to do it. Well... Okay, so we're not doing it on our regular Thursday because we won't be, as much as we love everybody, we're not going to celebrate New Year's Eve on doing the podcast. So it's either going to be Tuesday the 29th or it's going to be Wednesday the 30th. So it'll be either a week from now or, the day before. Just depends on what our work schedules are, which... all of ours should calm down since technically, even though that week is still a holiday, at least for me, most people, other than returning the gifts that they bought, they're not buying stuff because at this point, they're trying to save money from all the stuff they bought. And, I don't know about Paul, but the place should probably calm down too. So we might be able to do it that's the reason we couldn't do it on Tuesdays, because basically I had to work a close shift till 3 in the morning, then get up 4 hours later to go work a morning shift. That wasn't happening.
Yeah.
I may not sleep tonight because I got to work in about 6 hours anyway, but, it's better than basically not even sleeping and going and work another 8-hour shift. So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Well, so just to let everybody know, we are also, wanting you to go check out some other podcasts this week. Make sure you go check out the Raw Reaction with Harry Broadhurst and his cohorts. A lot of great stuff over there, once again. So you need to go check out those guys. And we're also, want to let everybody know to go check out TWNE After Dark with Steven Randall. That's a really good show. In his Canadian hijinks over there. A lot of fun stuff. And plus, don't forget, Wrestling Unwrapped is now part of the W2M network. It was announced here last week by Mr. Harry Broadhurst himself. Him and Patrick Hetza are going to be doing a show coming up this January 3rd. And so you don't want to miss that. Keep it on your calendars. Make sure you go check out that show. We are so happy to have them on the W2M network. That'll be a lot of fun. We're looking to add a little bit to this network. We're very cautious. We don't want to just put just everybody on here. We want to make sure this is the right shows. So this is definitely one of the right shows for our network. We'll be adding some other shows as time goes by, but definitely go check out them. And of course, I think that pretty much wraps up our plugs. Go ahead.
Of course, we'll be doing the Football Week 16 preview here in just a little bit, so that'll be available for you in the morning as well if you're itching to get into your football stuff. You know, and the games podcast I'm looking to do after I get home from Star Wars and all that stuff. So that'll be there probably on your Christmas morning. If you want to, open gifts listening to people talk about video games, even there wasn't a whole lot this week to talk about, but yeah.
Awesome. So there you go, guys. Well, it's time for us to get out of here. We've had a lot of fun tonight, and of course, we're going to have a lot of fun next week. I'm already excited about it personally. So we'll have to, get into that. But make sure you don't forget to go check out the our not website, but of course we'll hopefully have that soon. But our Facebook page, go check it out. You don't want to miss the voting this week. Sean will probably start putting stuff up there after Christmas. So maybe January. It'd be a really lot of. I don't know what I'm saying. December is tough, especially around Christmas time. So don't expect it on the 25th, 26th. I think we'll start posting stuff on the voting, and then I'll get you ready for next week. And of course, that'll lead up to what we're going to do this coming up voting wise. So anyway, let's go ahead and say our goodbyes and everything. But one last thing, I hope you guys have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, and of course, Happy Kwanzaa. And so I hope everybody enjoys their holiday.
Happy wherever it is, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, which many people do, not celebrate it. So.
Yeah. And if you don't celebrate it, Happy Star Wars. So
of course.
Yeah. May the Force be with you, sir. So hopefully we'll all get a chance to check it out. Yeah. Yes, or ma'am. Or whoever,
or everything in between.
Yes, exactly. Let's be very PC, guys. So that is our Christmas present to you now, people. Anyway, well, we appreciate you guys coming and checking us out. Make sure you don't forget to download us through the W2M network, through anything you want to download us through. Make sure you subscribe to the Wrestling to the Max podcast and the W2M network. Hey, just do both. Why not? And don't forget to rate and review. We always appreciate that. We thank you for all that you do for us, and we'll be catching you guys next week. But always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all,
you know it.
Peace.
Later.